ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Higurashi. Tonight we're starting Chapter 3, Tatarigoroshi. It's going to be interesting. As you might notice, I've changed a few settings. I got the 7th mod, I think it's called, 07th mod. Has a lot of useful features, including spoken dialogue if you want it. It's censored, so there may be some changes if you're used to reading the uncensored dialogue. But hey, it is what it is. There's also the anime backgrounds, as you can see, instead of the weird photo backgrounds. I honestly thought that was the biggest improvement. We've muted the dialogues. There won't be any audio still, but in the event you want to, you can change over to basically play the console version of the game, which is I think like the first 4 sections ish, something like that. Have all new audio stuff like that. There's even like an updated soundtrack, a few other little features like different ways of reading the dialogue, switching languages midway through. It's quite handy. But I'm just here to change up the backgrounds because I think these are better, and honestly, now the game's not in 4.3. The game was in 4.3. Like, I can't believe a 21st century release of a game was in 4.3, and then the console version got like a 16.9 version, or a version with variable resolutions, more specifically. Like, that's so weird. Anyway, without further ado, let's get in and enjoy this. And hopefully enjoy those new features while we're at it. Yeah, I'm really liking that background a lot more. The drawn backgrounds look so much better. The curse killing chapter, Tatarigoroshi. The shortest scenario. Oh, apparently it's a short one. Man, curse, or coincidence? How are the conjectures inside you solidifying? I look forward to whether these conjectures will waver or become a cornerstone in this scenario. The difficulty is the worst, and you will probably not even be able to make conjectures. Oh, they're saying you're gonna not. It might be short, but you're not gonna know what the fuck's going on so much you won't even be able to guess at what's going on. That's quite the taunt. Let's see if it holds true. So hard I won't even be able to guess at what's going on. The snake in the well was happy, for it did not care what was outside the well. The snake in the well was happy, for it had naught to do with what happened outside the well. And you are happy too, for you did not know what happened outside the well. The work of fiction, any resemblance to actual persons or organizations, is purely coincidental. Interesting. AD 1983, the early summer of the 58th year of the Showa era. I'm mostly interested in that quote about the snake in the well. That's an interesting one. I like the fact that they used a well as a reference. Now, in this case, they're clearly referring to, say, like, a fish being a fish, or like a person being comfortable in their own environment, and perhaps unknowingly grateful that they are not thrust into the wider world that is quite the horrible place for you. As if you imagine, say, a snake in the open, or a fish out of water. A very dangerous place to be. A rabbit out of their burrow, or in an open field. Lots of things like that. And I like their particular use of well, because that was one of the spooky things in the previous series. You know, the well where all the bodies were laid to rest, where we had our dead zombie ghost friend, or what have you, in Mion. Rest in peace, Mion, and Shion, of course. I'm not feeling so bad for Keishi this time, but hey, I'm loving this background. I mean, I don't mind the like distorted picture of the trees with the mountains in the background, but this looks so much better. This looks like this game was made in the 21st century. Okay? The art is really nice. The trees look good. The clouds look good. The mountains look decent. Well, they might be like, they're like the low kind of mountains, you know, foothills or whatever. I don't know what to call them. It's mountainous enough. You can see the terrain changing a lot. It was a very humid day. Not even a slight breeze was blowing. It had been an unpleasant summer, one that wasn't only hot, but swelteringly so. There were various articles of clothing hung out to dry in the messy apartment windows, but the lack of wind evoked an impression far removed from coolness. In fact, it only felt more oppressive. Didn't they say they were on the west side and they got like super brutal winters? They must have like really strong winters and maybe some moderately hard summers. Or maybe they have both extremes. Hooray for being in a temperate region. There were crooked houses and apartment buildings lining the narrow, twisting road. In addition, there were planters and flower pots whose contents were beginning to wilt, as well as bicycles and motorcycles on the sides of the road, making it even more cramped, more oppressive, and all the more sweltering. Nobody who was in this place at this time was visiting it voluntarily. But in spite of what everyone might expect, a single motorcycle came rolling in. The lone motorcycle, which couldn't be called neat, even as flattery, pulled up to a 2-story apartment complex and stopped there. You know, the motorcycle they Whenever I think of motorcycles, I don't know about you guys. Whenever I think of motorcycles, I think of like North American motorcycles, and I keep forgetting that like these little moped things the Japanese have here in the dead center of the screen, right by the telephone pole. I keep forgetting they call those motorcycles too. It's like I'm always thinking like an actual motorcycle. You know, maybe it's a chopper, maybe it's a riding one that like actually drives, like, you know, that looks aggressive and fast, but these are still called motorcycles, and it's like, I don't know if I would call that a motorcycle. I would lean towards a moped. It doesn't seem like, I'm sure it has more practical use. I mean, let's be honest, motorcycles are not the most practical vehicle. And something that's a little bit less aggressive with a little bit more carrying capacity is probably way better. But it's not the motorcycle I think of. I'm thinking of your standard, like... I'm thinking... I don't know how to describe that. How do you describe, like, a normal motorcycle? The ones where you lean forward. Ones where you lean forward and have to, like, you have, like, small footrests for your motorcycle. Instead of, like, this long tray to rest your feet on casually, where it like drives less like a car and more like a unique vehicle. I don't know. Weird feeling, but I'm not complaining with the motorcycle. It's just like not my vision. When someone says like a motorcycle, you know, I think of those. I guess we'll call it a motorcycle from an action movie. That's what I'll say. More like the motorcycle from an action movie. Even if it's like a slightly less aggressive or overtuned one than I do these things. Then again, maybe that's just reflecting what I'd like if I was getting a motorcycle. Oh well. So, a 2-story apartment complex and a motorcycle. Okay. A man, fairly old and wrinkled, stepped off. When the housewife hanging out the laundry noticed him, she called out, "Well, hello there. It's quite hot today again, isn't it?" Who is this supposed to be? Maybe we'll find out today. Oh, you got that right. I feel like I'm gonna boil out here. Well, it is hot out. Oh, right, landlord. His name is Landlord. I didn't think that would be the first thing you said. I don't know if a landlord is like a general use title or pronoun in Japanese, but it feels really weird to call someone landlord. Hello, landlord. Seems weird. Oh, sorry. The fluorescent lights, right? I completely forgot. I was kind of expecting him to have a real name. Oh, no, not that. Don't you smell it? There's a terrible smell about it. I've been smelling it since this morning. Alright. Knowing the genre, well, it's probably a corpse. It's probably a corpse. Wait, what's this? It reeks! Did the sewers get backed up again? Do something about it, landlord! I've had to keep my nose plugged all day long! You'd still look plenty lovely plugging your nose, my dear. There was an unhygienic drainage channel running behind the apartment. The lattice from which it flowed was stuffed with branches and fallen leaves, and when filth got caught up in them, it created an awful stench in the summertime. Yeah, blocked up sewage does that. Could you tell the municipal office about it? The drain will end up buried at this rate. Oh yikes, it's completely blocked. It'll start back up if you poke it with a stick. The man crossed the fence over the drainage channel and picked up a filthy drying pole sitting nearby. Sounds like he's done this a few times. He must have planned to stick it into the drain and clear it out. Wait, stop that. If you mix it all strange, if you do that, it'll smell terrible. It smells if it's clogged and it smells if it's mixed. Which should I choose? He shoved the drying pole into the filth in the lattice. Of course it did nothing to help the accumulation of waste. It's a dead cat. This is the health center's job. Cats and dogs smell awful when they die. A bamboo pole's not going to do much good. Garbage bags, old clothes. They throw all kinds of stuff in there. And is that a duck I see? Well, of course it stinks. The nerve of some people. A dead duck? The drainage channel was already unsanitary. Oh, it's a little more garbage at this point. I'm not sure how big this drainage channel is supposed to be. I was initially thinking that it was like moderately large. It might have just like a duck. I wasn't sure if it was supposed to be like a regular like sewer grate or something with like a small channel, or like a really large one that like has a proper bridge over it. And I'm a little bit more confused now. It must be like there's a duck in it. You probably couldn't fit a duck in like one of those small like one of those small like drainage channels for water along the sides of roads. Like an actual animal wouldn't fit in there unless you stuffed it really hard and closed. Like that wouldn't make sense. So it's got to be a bit bigger than that. The stream of such impudent, I'm gonna go with impudent people, was never ending, and now this channel had turned into a garbage dump. When he poked the pile of old clothes floating in the sewage, a black cloud of smoke floated out of the water. The two of them grimaced at the terribly bizarre and repulsive sight. Ugh, maggots, eh? Someone must have thrown kitchen waste in. Landlord, what's that? Oh, just more garbage. Landlord, that's... Ah! And now we're hearing the sound of pitchers. Oh, hello. Good work today. Terrible stench. Hey, someone cover this thing with a tarp. On the second floor of the house, it's in full view. Identity of the deceased, unknown. Sex, female. Age, estimated to be late 20s, early 30s. Time of death, around 2 to 3 days ago. Probably abandoned after death. Naked, too? Figuring out who she is will be rough. Contact the community division. Ask if anyone's gone missing. It probably weighed her down so she'd sink. Then the weights came off and she floated to the top. But why in a drainage sewer of all things? Would have been better under an overpass or in the mountains, you think? It would have been outside our jurisdiction, right? But it looks like they never wanted to hide the corpse at all. Did they do it so she'd be found as a warning or something? This slice in her stomach definitely wasn't from a fish eating her. She's cut open and her insides were dragged out. They really made a show out of killing her. Oh, good evening. Doesn't the Chinese mafia do these sort of traditional punishments? Shige-san in section 4 if he's had... Or ask Shige-san in section 4 if he's had any trouble with the Yakuza. On it, sir. Still. Terrible way to go. Don't her innards poking out like that look sort of like the salad soba you can get in Kyoto? Maybe if you stuck chopsticks in, noodles would pop out, see? See? Ugh. Please, give me a break. These are some particularly morbid cops. I think they're cops. Her intestines were pulled out and her ears and nose cut off. That's definitely not how I want to go. Her fingers are in a bad state too. There are long nails stuck in all of them on both hands. Yeah, these cops are exceptionally morbid. Oh, we know how that goes, right? That was what was possibly going to be done to us. And possibly happened to Keiichi at the end of the second chapter. What kind of torture was this anyway? Cut to title. Cut to title. Oh, interesting. Alright. Ah, this is definitely from the console. Okay. Oh, gee. That's 4 new people. 5? 6? That is super loud. We all heard your voice briefly. Might have. I think you were muted most of the time, I do. It's this arc. This is the 3rd chapter. And I'm thinking we're probably going to be introduced to a new character based on the images. Now, I think I recognized all the characters from the console remake. At least their console implementation. But I definitely saw at least 5 or 6 new characters, so I'm predicting we'll meet a new person every arc, at least. Or every section, at least. So, Shion was last arc's new character. I wonder who will meet this arc. I also hope we get more Shion. Shion was clearly best girl out of the previous chapter / arc. That was interesting. I wasn't expecting to get an actual OP at the start of the game. That was kind of cool. Why do I feel like the people who played on console got a better deal? I feel like they got a lot better deal. Ours is like the PC one is stuck in 4.3. And it seems like they at least semi-modernized the console release. But hey, thanks to the magic of being on PC, we can just play the console version anyway by downloading a mod that has it. You like hugging people, and you like Emiya. Well, I'm pretty sure most of the characters here could probably use a hug. Except for Mion, she's actually just evil, but give her a hug anyway, just not when she has a knife or any weapons on her. Alright, the most relaxing time during the school day. Lunch, for sure. Everyone brought their desks, side by side like always, and we all ate together. That sounds nice. Yep, there we go. This is the consoleized version of all the characters. I think most people could recognize them. On the far right, we have Mion, followed by Reina, Rika, and Satoko. And at least for the first chapter, I'm pretty sure this is the only image we'll see of them in console form. I believe I have the sprites currently set to use their old ones, but this is actually a background picture. I thought BDSM stood for Buddhism. Sanse. That's true. That's actually a quote from her in game. It's great. Oh my, Mion. If I may, your lunch looks quite appetizing today. There's so many different things. It's wonderful. Satoko and Rika looked at Mion's lunch, shouting gladly. I like how we started with our characters being in school. Like, each arc we're starting slightly further in the future, which is a different feel from, like, say, if you, like, watch Stay Night, and the 3rd arc starts the earliest. Like Heaven's Feel, they start the Heaven's Feel arc. Like, there's, like, 5 scenes that you haven't seen that start before the first night. And in this, they're like, you're already up to speed, we're just going to put you in here a little bit further forward each time. Because Do you really need the introduction? No, not really. You already know that bit, so let's just get you into the story. We'll reset you. We're all friends again. We've already met. We're at this school. Brief summary. Get into plot. Go. Kinda nice. Let's have a look. What does Reina have? I just packed some leftovers from last night. All the others were having a drinking party at my house yesterday. I managed to nab some of what they didn't eat. So that's why they all look like snacks you could have with sake. They're but leftovers, mere scraps of food, but when arranged in a bento so cleanly, they look quite impressive. It looks like part of a full-course meal at a high-class restaurant. People seem to decide if they like things mainly based on their first impression. So I thought maybe the taste of a bento would be proportional to how pretty it was when you opened it. You may seem unrefined, Mion-san, but you're positively splendid at arranging food like this. Her room's nice and tidy too. Michan is a lot more organized and polite than everyone thinks. It's all the same once it's in your stomach. I'd have thought Mion would say something like that, but to think she had this kind of taste. Can't judge a book by its cover. Mion being a serial killer in the last arc. Yeah, sure. Mion was careful in everything she did. She never misstepped, faltered, or messed up. I mean, she is our club president after all. There's nothing to scoff at either, Reina. Your crab kamaboko flower is very pretty. You know, Reina, your lunch always has, like, an art to it. Like, it has rabbit-shaped apple slices and carrot flowers and stuff. Reina's bento wasn't all about taste. It was like she always puts her heart into it or something. It wasn't just good, it made your insides nice and warm. Thanks. It's not quite as good as Bichan's, but I want to make it really cute. Cooking isn't about skill, it's about love. In that sense, I don't even come up to your feet. Love, huh? Yeah. Just from looking at her bento, I could definitely feel that Reina put in all her heart and soul into making it. That's what her bento was like. The taste isn't all that counts for a bento. It also how it looks matters. I suppose we must learn from this too. Let's see, Satoko and Rika's up-and-coming bento. But ta-da! Whoa! Yesterday our neighbors shared some meat with us, so we ended up grilling it for our bento. These ones too, they had such an impact. They were bursting at the seams with grilled meat. At a glance, it was too impactful for a girl's bento. When you thought about it, eating with all your friends, it brought more than enough color to the table. I mean, I would probably agree with that. Like, a bento that's literally nothing but grilled meat is probably a bad idea. Even if it would be delicious. You probably want like more of a balanced meal. But if you think about it, they share their lunch communally every day. So if you were to just bring like nothing but chicken, that would be perfectly reasonable if you're not planning on eating only your stuff. Like, if you bring only chicken and like Reina brings fruit and vegetables and you split it, like that's probably like that's gonna be pretty well balanced, right? Like it'll balance out, so that's actually a good plan. Wow, at first it looks like it's kind of a crude bento that a jock would eat, but there's so many different things in there. Like boiled spinach and soy sauce and stewed hijiki. Rika, you're really good at this kind of unaffected cooking, huh? I think Rika will make a great wife when she grows up. I have a tight hold on my future husband. A husband for Rika, huh? At first that sounded appealing. It did, but I felt like a married life with her would be anything but normal. She is like a shrine priestess and like owner of a shrine grounds, right? Really, everyone was amazing. They were all so young, and yet they're all capable of cooking for themselves. And what are we doing, Keiichi, apart from being useless? I would sort of cook when I went camping with my family, but making lunch every day was a level I definitely couldn't reach. That's right, we just get our mom to pack our lunch for us. I could only really cook in my spare time. The man eats ramen. I don't know if that counts as cooking. Does instant ramen really count as cooking? I don't think so. When I thought about it like that, it really made everyone stand out more. Frankly, I respected them. What? I feel like maybe this doesn't only apply to other people. I have to think of it. This morning, when I was eating breakfast half asleep, I think my mom said something really important. With a hysteric groan, I suddenly stood up, startling everyone at once. What's wrong? Make us choking me show like that so suddenly, you know? There's rice coming out of your nose, Satoko. Oh god, that... You know, you think milk coming out of your nose? Or like, when like, you're like taking a drink? Oh god. Rice? Oh man, that sounds way worse than liquids. I'd forgotten. All this stuff about cooking for yourself, it applied to me too. Wait, was he forced to make his own lunch today? Keiichi? Your mom and dad need to go to Tokyo again for business. Yeah. Your dad's mentor fell ill right before an event he was taking part in. It's a very important event and they need someone to fill in. Well, Dad does what he has to for his job. Looks like Dad's gonna be out of town for a couple days early on in this one. Interesting. So your dad and I, you see, we need to go to Tokyo as fast as we can to help with the event. We might have to stay there for a few days, depending on what happens. Now remember, in the first arc, they disappeared after the festival, like a couple days in. Looks like this time they're popping out, or they're checking out early. That sounds annoying, though. Yeah, traveling all the way to Tokyo sounds like a huge pain. While we're gone, we won't be here, so you'll need to make your own meals yourself. Are you okay with that, Keiichi? Yeah, I'll be fine. Humans can do anything when they're desperate. That's his response. Can you make your own breakfast for yourself? People can do anything when they're desperate. Oh, what's up, Xenon? That's a relief. You can at least cook rice, right? And you can make miso soup as well. Then you just buy some side dishes and you'll have a meal. A meal? Yeah, I can cook rice with my camping kit. I've never used a rice cooker before. Oh god, this guy doesn't know how to use a rice cooker. Dear god. Dear god. A Japanese person who can't use a rice cooker. He's completely out of touch with the world. I've only ever made instant miso soup. You make in a pot of boiling water, too. Oh, I stand corrected. He can make one thing other than instant ramen. Instant miso soup. Well, I'll think of something. You can cook for yourself. You don't need much money, right? Do you? No eating out. It's too expensive. You're at the age where you should learn about cooking and personal finances now, after all. Yep, yeah, I'll get by. I'll get by. Oh, I won't! What was I thinking? I was half asleep and made such crazy empty promises. Just like manga characters always do at times like these, I bent over backwards and scratched furiously at my head. Scratch, 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 scratch. Keiichi, your parents sure have it rough. Anyway, you need to keep things in order while they're gone. Until she said her second sentence. My mind was like, okay, before she said her second sentence, all she had said was, Keiichi, your parents sure have it rough. Like, I just want you to imagine him, like, scratching his head like crazy, leaning backwards, acting like he's a little bit loopy. And Rain's just like, wow, your parents have it really rough, don't they? Like, taking care of you must be a huge fucking drain. Which is a fucking sound like. But then it's like, oh, you need to keep things in order while they're gone. Like, okay, his parents don't have it rough because of him. They have it rough because, like, they have to travel all the way back to Tokyo to take care of some shit because someone's sick. Which does suck. And is rough. It's way less savage than it was at first glance, though. Anyway, food. My parents aren't here. I have to make it all myself, you know. It's a huge emergency. Did you not simply give up and cook for yourself? Keiichi, did you not make a fabulous curry dish for the curry party previously? Oh, we're past the curry thing. Listen here. My mom taught me how to cook that curry when we camped. It's the best I can do. I can't eat curry 3 meals a day. I mean, it's just junk food in the first place. There's no nutritional balance whatsoever. It's completely... If his teacher was here, he would probably be stabbed for saying you can't eat curry 3 days, or 3 meals a day. Is that what's gonna happen? Mion and Satoko put their hands over my mouth. A moment later, the door rattled open, and Chie-sensei, a known curry maniac, suddenly poked her head in. Did I hear someone bad-mouthing curry? No, we didn't say anything. Everyone's faces went totally white, and they all shook their heads in denial. Her eyes rolled over the classroom, and her glare wasn't just a teacher's ordinary stare. That's so. Must have been the wind. Chie-sensei gave one more look around the classroom, then closed the door and went back to the teacher's lounge. I may have been shouting, but for her to hear it all the way from across the hall in the teacher's lounge, that teacher is terrifying. She has a conceptual awareness of anything curry related within 50 meters. Kei-chan, you can disparage all other foods all you want, but you might want to stay away from curry. At least as long as you live in Hinamizawa. Oh Jesus, is her curry perception that good? Like a mile radius? Detect curry or curry reference? Okay, I'm sorry. That's what I said, but still, I can't have curry for every meal. And cup ramen's good because you only eat it once in a while. If you ate it for every meal, you get bored pretty quickly. So he really isn't a cup ramen enthusiast, I see. Rice and miso soup are a good side dish. Yeah, that's what a Japanese table should look like. Why can't you just try to cook for yourself? Rice you make yourself is really good. This old man thinks it's more a pain than good. But experiencing it every once in a while might be nice. That's right, lifestyle was about experiences, right? Wait, isn't Miss Prankster gonna play a joke? I mean, when you cut your fingers or burn yourself, it's so very, very sad. Cutting it. Now I'm just trying to figure out how you managed to cut your fingers while making rice. That's gotta be a first for me. I burnt my hands a little bit, you know. The rice cooker can get a little bit hot. Maybe you're like impatient and you open the rice cooker before it's done and like, you know, a light scalding or some shit, or like if a burning sensation but not actually like burns, just like feels really hot. I'm not sure how I would cut my hands with rice. Maybe opening the bag of rice with a knife or scissors, you can cut your hands. But I feel like not cutting your hand and not creating like massive gashes or slashes in your arms trying to cut open a bag. It should be a basic skill you learn before you handle scissors without an adult nearby. Alright. With everyone encouraging me like this, I started to feel like maybe I could do it if I tried too. Though approximately one person didn't sound like she was encouraging me. Cooking's a skill I'll have to learn at some point, since I want to live on my own one day. Keep Senpai hydrated? Good plan, good plan. Maybe learning now wouldn't be so bad. Thank you. I'm feeling pretty uneasy about it, but you're right. If I don't understand how to cook a few things around here, then I won't be in good shape next time our club does a cooking showdown. Oh, you're correct. That clever trick of yours in the last curry contest won't work every time after all. As if scorning me, Satoko ridicules my comeback from a hopeless situation in a certain do-or-die curry showdown. That would be the last major arc wherein a certain blonde someone with red eyes and a green dress decided to dump our curry and feed it to the ground. As well as giving some extra flavoring to someone's rice with salt. It's basically just pure salt at that point, though. It was basically pure salt at that point anyways, so I don't know if there was how much rice there actually was left. But we managed to come back with a good trick. You read the second arc, our curry showdown. I don't remember what video that was. Probably the second one. It's pretty good. What are you so relaxed for? You relied entirely on Rika-chan back there, didn't you? What did you cook that time exactly? You put a bag of salt in Reina's curry, a bag of salt in Mion's rice. I forgot about the salt in the curry. And you flipped over my pot. I relapsed into my grudge over the last curry showdown. For now, I calmed my unquellable anger by pinching Satoko's ears. She deserves it. So, timeline-wise, we're actually like a good chunk of the way into the year. Fairly close to the festival if we're past the curry showdown. Ow! My attack was because that's what they were doing for club. I may not look like it, but I can do a little bit of cooking. Can you now? Even when you couldn't peel one character in the showdown and had to get Rika to do it? Don't be so daft. People get better every day, you know. If you think I'll always be crummy at cooking, you're quite mistaken. Right, Rika? I have to watch, otherwise I get worried about the pot and the flame. Sometimes you forget to turn the gas off, too. Oh boy. Satoko, you got a ways to go. That should not be an issue with cooking. Even I wouldn't do that. I don't want to hear that from someone who eats nothing but cup ramen. But Satoko can cook pretty well for yourself, you know? Reina, it's fine. You don't need to force yourself to cover for her. No, I'm not trying to cover for her. It's just that Rika's cooking is by far the best of all of us, so hers doesn't stand out. Satoko mastered the basics too, right? At the very least, I can cook rice and miso soup. Well, she can't quite tell the difference between cauliflower and broccoli, though. They're both the same once you boil them. Satoko erupted into anger, making two fists and swinging them above her head. Everyone laughed a lot after that. Remember guys, broccoli and cauliflower, exactly the same. Exactly the same vegetables. Okay, we're laughing at Satoko's expense. The others don't matter. I cannot stand being laughed at by you, Keiichi-san. Wait, why? Why? Well, I do perhaps lag behind everyone else in terms of cooking skill, but at least I'm confident I'd never lose to you, Satoko. Not to you, at least. What was that? You have the gall to say that you're confident. That's what's daft here. I may not seem like a good cook, but I take turns with Rika, you know. I can cook just fine for myself, thank you. I see. Good for you for being able to cook. I'll buy some candy for you as a present later. I patted Satoko on the head while I made fun of her. Satoko seemed to know I was making fun of her too, since her face went bright red very quickly and steam started to pour out like she was a kettle. Ugh, you don't believe me, do you? Anyway, I can cook far better than you can, Keiichi-san. I see. Then if you can tell me the difference between cauliflower and broccoli, I'll believe you. Come on, let's hear it. The green one is broccoli, or no, the yellow one. Cauliflower is blue, red, green. Come on now. What color is broccoli? Blue, red, green? It's not a television. Come on, say it. Say it! Satoko can cook just fine without knowing what color broccoli is, right? Good for you. Oh, you stupid KK. Oh, it was nothing to cry hysterically about. She's so goddamn cute. Why is our character commenting that Satoko's hella cute this time? I stroked her head as hard as I could. Why are we starting with being like really close with Satoko, our rival prankster, who's like who like acts evil half the time? Ruffle. Shouldn't she be brutally pranking us here? Or crying to get attention from the teacher or something to get us in trouble? She's like a little freaking gremlin half the time in the previous two arcs. If you can act so smug, you could surely show us something better than Satoko, remarked Mion, giving me a slightly mean smile. Oh, actually, I had no confidence at all in my cooking, but the situation carried me along, and I decided to deliver an impressive declaration. Oh boy, are we having a cook-off here? Just you wait. Tonight, I'll make the best damn meal you've ever seen. I'll even make a little too much and pack it for lunch tomorrow. You'll be so surprised you'll fall over. That sounds like fun. I can't wait for lunchtime tomorrow. Rika petted me on the head. Her words of can't wait sounded so transparent. Haha, Red is excited too. I promise I won't laugh no matter what you make. Alright, so maybe I'll go all out on my bento tomorrow too. Ooh, it's gonna be a competition. Let's do this. Let's have a bento showdown tomorrow. As a club activity, of course. And we'll throw in a punishment game too. My, what an ingenious idea this is. How's that, Keiichi-san? I'll give you one chance to back down. Satoko wiped her tears and snarled at me as if this was her last chance to turn things around. Of course, of course. Yeah, the new coins coming in were a little bit off. Were a little bit surprising. Definitely threw some plans off, but hey. This means in theory you might get coins early for some things early. Maybe a few extra coins here and there might help. Maybe this is just bad. I feel like maybe the conversation is getting a little bit out of hand. No, you're gonna make the best meal ever. Oh, if I apologize, now's my chance? But what came out of my, Keiichi Maibara's mouth, was a statement so reckless it even frightened me. Yeah, you're on. My bento tomorrow will knock you right out of your shoes. Whoa. Everyone raised their voices in surprise at my bold, confident reply. He got baited hard. Now, he said he would knock her out of her shoes, so all he has to do is, just, you know, load up his bento with, Reaper sauce. Now I've done it. What have I done? I'm so damn irresponsible. Yeah, you're in trouble. So, Mion-san, what's the punishment gonna be? Oh, there we go. I called it. What sort of fantastic punishment game will we have to play if we lose? Satoko grinned fearlessly. She's got a trick up her sleeve, dude. You're gonna get fucking wrecked. As if to say it was already decided I'd be playing said fantastic punishment game. Oh, I yawned. Let's see. Okay, how about this? Whoever loses tomorrow's bento showdown during lunch break tomorrow has to go up to Chie-sensei as she's eating in the teacher's lounge and say bad things about curry. Micha, that's... How terrifying. Everyone went pale and gasped at how truly terrifying the punishment game was. Yeah, you'll probably die. This'll be worse than, like, trying to pet the teacher and knocking his toupee off. You're probably going to be stabbed with several black keys. Chie-sensei is such a maniac about curry, she'd risk her life for it. Remember, she has a curry garden. She has a dedicated curry garden at school. And to go up to her and start saying bad things about curry? What kind of fate would await us? Just trying to imagine it was scary. As everyone looked blankly amazed at the terrifying punishment game, Rika spoke. Tomorrow's contest will be decided by skill. Reina, Mion, and Satoko, everyone nodded deeply in agreement. Although Keiichi-san's problem might be his own dinner tonight rather than tomorrow's bento. Oh, what? How disappointing, you can't witness what an amazing dinner I'm going to make tonight. I'll let you have a glimpse of it in my bento tomorrow, so look forward to it. It's quite a lot of grandstanding. You do know what will happen if you come to us with something terrible, right? I can't wait to how much trouble you'll be in with Chie-sensei tomorrow, Satoko. I can't wait either to see you, Keiichi-san, groveling before her and begging for forgiveness. Saying it with tears streaming down your face. I can see it now. What was that? Hey! Both of us were on the verge of tears, pulling on each other's cheeks. Stretch. Trying to muster all your desperation by placing yourself in a predicament. Keiichi-san, that's so manly. This isn't manly or anything of the sort. It's called being reckless. He can't even cook well. And we're still pulling at her cheek, apparently. Reina believes in you. I'm looking forward to your wonderful bento. Thanks, Reina. At least someone's supporting me. I'm looking forward to seeing Keiichi tomorrow, too. Their expectant gazes were painful. I was just trying to tease Satoko a little. How did it come to this? Yeah, you'd better look forward to it. Oh god, how am I able to say such things? I'm being so unreasonable. The heck is gonna happen to my dinner? Is the bento showdown tomorrow? No, more importantly, if they make me say bad things about curry to Chie, what will happen to me? I mean, you could get murdered by your friends, so there are worse things to happen than saying questionable things about Tori to Chie. The extreme contrast between my outward bravado and my internal screaming continued as the hot and humid June afternoon dragged on, and this looks like the new background for the school. Not bad. I like the mountains in the distance. I think it's slightly better than the old one. Several of the old backgrounds were very indistinct. It was hard to tell what it was unless you were being told what it was. This is our path home from school. So the embankments look less professionally done. Like, you can see they look overgrown on the left here, where this river or drainage path goes. It looks less built up, less modern, but it still looks good. There's like some tilled fields on the left. Several of these houses, I swear to God, like this house on the left and right here, they look like they were made in like the 15th century. It's like a shack with hay. I mean, I had a bit of the same problem with the previous visuals, but it's so crisp and clear here. It's like, who would live in the shack on the left? How have they not modernized their home to at least have, like, I don't know, plumbing? I'm not asking for a lot here. It just looks like it's a shack without plumbing. Like, we got a basic wooden shack with wooden walls and, like, hay as a roof. Probably terrible in the winter. Up until school is over, the whole time. Alright. So, your internal screaming continued as the hot and summer humid day dragged on until school is over the whole time. My meal tonight and my bento tomorrow were the only things on my mind, and now that I thought about it, it made Mom seem amazing for planning 3 meals every day of the year. I've complained before about having the same meal in a row once in a while, and now I know how rude that was. More importantly, what am I going to do with the punishment game tomorrow? Besides that, what am I eating tonight? Oh, shit. Keiichi-kun? Keiichi-kun? Earth the Keiichi-kun? Oh, sorry. I was just thinking about some stuff. About how screwed you were, dude. About what to make tonight? About the bento showdown tomorrow? Yeah, about how screwed we are. She hit the mark and I couldn't find anything to say. My facial expression made it obvious. She hit the mark. Tomorrow's showdown, I think that if you do your best to make a bento, you'll be fine. There's nothing superior to a bento you really tried hard to make by yourself. Tomorrow's showdown's one thing, but what about dinner tonight? I might suddenly get food poisoning. I couldn't make any more bluffs. I exaggeratedly drooped my shoulders and heaved a sigh from the bottom of my gut. Raina laughed in a shrill way when she saw me do that. Keiichi, you don't have confidence in your cooking at all, do you? So I've been found out. Ugh. If it looks like you can't do it no matter how hard you try, you can always give Raina a call. Really? Only if you really try hard first, okay? You can't rely on others without first struggling yourself. So she wants him to like spend all his time trying to make something and then she'll redeem him. Give him a free pass on the bento. Maybe a free pass on the bento, let's see. Raina seemed naive, but sometimes she was instructive. She didn't just spoil people unconditionally. She always seemed like an adult in these moments. If I absolutely can't do it, I'll call you. Though the chances are extremely high. Come on, my dude. Get a cookbook. Give it a go. Go for it, yeah. You're grandstanding so much to Satoko that you have to try your best. Yeah, dude, you have to give it a go at this point. You can't just ask someone else to do it, right? Hey, about Satoko, how good is she at cooking? She's at least better than you. That was so direct. It hit me pretty hard. You were making fun of her a lot too. Maybe you should have to struggle just a little. Raina, you're so mean. Dude, you were talking so much shit today. Raina isn't all cute, all cute. Now that I'd provoked Satoko that much, I couldn't just make some crummy meta. Dude, you like spent the whole day taunting her. Or at least all of lunch period. Like, you gotta at least show up with something decent, right? Can't believe how loose-lipped I am. I mean, that's our character for you. Literally can't hide a secret for more than 5 seconds. Okay, bye. Good luck. On the cooking. Show everyone you can do it if you really try. I will. I will, absolutely. I wave my hand absently in response. Good luck, Keiichi. You're gonna need it. Leaving me with words of encouragement and a few pieces of super beginner advice, Reina disappeared past the trees. Surely your mom has a cookbook, right? Surely she has at least one cookbook. And you can just look up your favorite meals and make one of those. Like, it's not that hard to follow a recipe most of the time, as long as you can sort of read it, right? You don't need to be like an expert. As long as you can figure out how to do most of the things. It shouldn't be so bad, hopefully. Well, day turns to evening, turns to night. It looks like our character's still awake. Probably trying to figure out what the fuck they're doing for dinner. Fine. I'm desperate to win. So what? I may not know the ABCs of navigation, and I have neither a sea chart nor a compass, but still, one idiot taking on the ocean of the great cooking age alone. Good luck. And his name is Keiichi Maibara. Alright, good luck, my dude. Let's go. Time to cook. I like that I can actually make out some of the details in these pictures. Instead of it being like so hazy and unfocused, I can't tell what this is. It looks like we got like a dish rack with some utensils, look like spoons and chopsticks. We have like some rubber gloves. I don't see a dishcloth anywhere. Oh, wait, never mind. I do see them hanging in the corner. That must be what those are. Some soap. Looks like a bottle of soy, a bottle of some sauce, maybe soy. A couple other containers, some other stuff in a cupboard. With glass doors, curiously enough. You don't typically see a lot of cabinetry in a kitchen with glass doors. That feels unusual, at least in my experience. Now let's see, the light above this counter or sink, that seems fine, if a little bit old-fashioned. I mean, this is the 80s. The sliding thing is a little bit unusual. I like the kitchen though, and they got like a small stovetop. Interesting. They may not have an oven. If you look at the far right, time to cook. My enthusiasm is purely. If you look at the far right near the auto symbol, it looks like they have a small stove. It looks like that's a stove. So they have a small stove, but it's also like not a combination stove ovens. They may not have an oven. That might restrict what he can cook. Just trying to analyze what resources he has. Looks like they have a proper like pot for cooking stuff on top of the freezer. Had curry yesterday because of Chie or Shield. If energy and recklessness was all it took, I could take over the world. Yeah, so could a lot of people. However, there are plenty of things in the world that can't be achieved with resolution alone. And one of them is how to cook good food. Cooking was probably the top contender. Maybe. Therefore, even who has hastily prepared knowledge, I wanted something to help me. Please tell me, you're going at least to a library to get a cookbook? I made up my mind and fished through the kitchen cabinets. I was on the hunt for a cookbook. How do you not know where these are? My mom should have had a few of them. For a complete amateur like me, the first thing I needed was information. Just like he who would cross the oceans needed a compass. For me, a cookbook was absolutely indispensable. I mean, in theory, to cross the ocean, you don't need a compass. It's just helpful for navigating during the day. You can navigate via the stars at night, assuming it's not cloudy. Oh, here's one. Its worn out, wrinkled cover made it seem somehow reliable, and even then, you can kind of tell what direction you're going in by checking the angle of the sun, or what direction the sun's coming from, and its present angle. Right, a worn out, wrinkled cover. Okay. As long as I've got this, well, it's easier to give it a shot than thinking about it, right? Anyone can concoct the tastes of a gourmet chef as long as they have a cookbook. Yeah, most people can do an okay job replicating meals if given the exact recipe and a little bit of practice. Cookbooks are great. And as such optimistic thoughts filled my chest, I flipped through the pages. Now the next question is, do you have any of the ingredients? However, there's a problem. It played with technical terminology like toys. I just couldn't see how to actually make things. You knew it all along, Keiichi. If anyone could make food by just reading a book, there'd be no such job as a gourmet chef. No. Chefs exist because people don't have the time to acquire the time or the money to acquire all the specific materials to make specific dishes, and they don't have the time to make them and learn how to do so efficiently. That's why you still have restaurants. Because you can buy some obscure ingredients, but it will cost you 10 meals worth to get the ingredients due to your small quantity of people you're feeding. And then it will go bad because you're only using one portion of it. So you go to a restaurant where the restaurant owner will be okay with paying for 10 portions of something because they'll actually sell 10 portions. First off, it calls for 3 teaspoons, but what spoon is that? Actually, a teaspoon's probably the easiest one. You keep saying to use however much you like? Oh boy. How much exactly are you supposed to use? Stop using obscure expressions. Strain out the water in a colander? Add salt and pepper to taste? The heck is a colander? He's fucked. Strain it out like stretching? You can't stretch water droplets like meat. Besides, how much salt and pepper is that supposed to be? Obviously, to taste. Ugh. Aren't there any beginner-friendly guides in here? It won't do you any good, Tael. Cool off, Keiichi. Think calmly, rationally. For now, I'll leave the side dish until later. The rice is more important. Okay. Have to cook the rice or I can't start. I know a little bit about how to cook rice. I didn't cook it with my camping kit while camping all the time for nothing. I washed the rice. That should be enough water. And which switch is it? Is it this button? Oh, the lamp turned on. Yeah. Fully automatic rice cooker, so one of the 3 sacred treasures after all. Now, pleased by the rice cooker set, I pulled myself together and decided to take the miso soup next. The miso soup I made at day camp was the instant kind after all. Well, it'd be fine if I just melted the miso into hot water, no doubt. I'll boil the water and put in the miso. But how much do I put in? Well, let's see. The proper amount according to the number of people and your tastes? Enough of the vague expressions, goddamn. Alright, I'll put in the proper amount. I crushed the bag of miso in my fist and put half its contents into the pot. Was this really okay? Maybe this was too hearty? They do say it's the best when it tastes strong. Come to think of it, my mom's miso soup is a little thin. Maybe I like it better with this much in it. I said aloud as if trying to convince myself. That's some copium there. Then, convinced by my own words, I nodded to myself. Alright, rice and miso were probably fine. Next, the side dish. You don't even know what you're making. But what to make? Something I could make that would add color to the meal. That's it. Why don't I stir fry some vegetables? You can eat vegetables raw too, and they won't die from just a little bit of fire. I was so cute then, not realizing the level my thoughts had fallen from what would look great in a meal to what would be easy to make. There were quite a few vegetables in the refrigerator. What kind of vegetables go in a stir fry? Bean sprouts? Cabbage? Chives? Oh dear, this guy's in trouble. Onion? Can you put cucumber and lettuce in? For now, I grabbed a nearby cutting board, cut them into chunks, and tossed them into a wok. This sounds like it's going to be a recipe for disaster. I know, we'll put lettuce. I know, lettuce and cabbage stir fry. That sounds good. This has gotten pretty exciting. Is this the true worth of men's cooking? Hey, it's actually getting kind of fun. All of a sudden there was a pile of vegetables in the wok. Alright, next is salad oil. Glug 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 went the oil. Could be more exciting if I filled it to the brim. Whoops, a bit leaked out. Okay, I'm just trying to think. How much oil would you need to pour into a fucking wok to overflow it with oil? Just like imagine you're cooking and you're like, man, how much oil is enough oil to put in a wok? Like, a wok is a pretty big bowl. Effectively a pretty big bowl, right? That's used for like frying stuff. Like, those could be pretty fucking big. That's like 3 bottles of cooking oil. Like imagine putting 3 liters of cooking oil in a pan. Being like, yeah, this is probably enough oil. Like he's not going for the frying. This man's deep frying his vegetables with nothing like around them. Like no breading, no nothing. We've transitioned from just heating up the vegetables and frying them. We're just deep frying them now. They're getting fully submerged in oil. Although, I don't think I would recommend deep frying anything in a wok. That seems like super risky. He even had a proper pot too. Like a pot that's sealed. Because man, if you try to do something this if you try to deep fry in a wok, like what the fuck are you gonna do if that catches on fire? That's super risky. Oh well. Well, no point worrying about something so minor. The great Keiichi Maibara's cooking is exciting. And I'm terrified for this. Oh wait, let's turn on the heat. In my experience, typically the volume of a liquid changes depending on its temperature. At least for cooking oil. The salad oil filling the wok to the brim caught fire and flames reached to the sky. There we go. I was gonna say, what are you gonna do if it catches fire? You fucked, kiddo. Amazing! Maybe I can be an Iron Chef too! The amount of copium this man is on. This is the kind of guy that can be like convinced that just running. This is the guy that can be convinced that running like, let's see. Double waver is still a modern composition in Japan. That's the kind of guy we're dealing with here. The guy who's like 6 years behind meta and coping that his off-meta deck from then will be good enough to be competitive these days. This is terrible. He's like, I have a kitchen fire. I'll be an Iron Chef. Amazing. What if I'm really good at cooking with fire? Those words were spoken by delusion. Okay, we had an entire game about people whose delusions can become reality, and I'm gonna be honest, this character is more deluded than those people who could literally manifest reality by thinking it was real. Like, all of Chaos Child. This guy would be the ultimate fucking expert. Holy shit. I was saying something outrageously careless, but when those words came out, they sort of convinced me. Yes, I'm an Iron Chef. Ow, hot, hot, hot. Right as the crazy pillar flame started to burn the ceiling, I finally realized the fabulous cooking before my eyes had culminated into an actually life-threatening disaster. Wait, what? Could I have been doing something insane? The force of the flame grew stronger and stronger. Wait, what? Ah! What in the world are you doing? Why is Satoko here? Why is Satoko here? On the other hand, the man is literally burning his house down. Stop the flames this instant! Thwack. Somebody forcefully struck me. Okay, first question. How the fuck did Satoko get in here? Do we not have a house? Right, this is our own personal house. Satoko lives like 20 minutes away. And she just like got through the locked door, came in and just like, what are you doing, you Pepega? Somebody forcefully struck me in the back of the head. When I turned around to see what was going on, to my surprise, I saw Satoko and Rika there. What? Satoko? Rika? As I stood in wonder at their unexpected entrance, Satoko shoved me out of the way and turned off the gas. Then Rika got a towel, soaked it in water, spread it out, and placed it over the pot. She continued to soak more towels, put a second, and then a third on. And once a whole bunch were piled on, the fire finally stopped. All of it happened in a few moments. That's why you don't use a wok for that. You use something closer to the pot on the top of the stove there, where you can seal the air off in an instant. You never, if you're gonna like deep fry stuff at home, or use an excessive amount of oil, you always cook in something you can put a lid on. You can put a lid that forms a complete seal on. All of it happened in a few moments. Alright, so, is that the worst cooking disaster? I think it's probably the worst cooking disaster because our character... It's one of the worst cooking disasters I've seen because our character didn't even realize it was dangerous. He's like, oh, I'm setting the house on fire. Ah, it's fine, it's fine. I'm gonna be an expert chef. I'm gonna cook with fire. You know many people who deep fry in a wok, and so do you? Even on the internet, people do that? But would you fill a wok to the brim? To the brim with oil? Would you do that? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think you would reasonably put a small amount in, maybe like an inch or so deep. This kid literally overfilled the wok with oil. And then was like, yeah, this'll be fine. Half at max? Yeah, half at max. Like, you can deep fry in any dish. I mean, you basically just need anything that can fit a decent volume of liquid. I'd argue that like a wok is probably not the best. I'd argue that a wok is probably not the best container to cook to deep fry something in, simply because of the shape, right? It's a half sphere. It's usually a partial sphere, right? In theory, it's like usually like a concave. It's usually like a concave shape, like a bowl, but it's a little bit wide for what that would be. You'd usually want to be like, for efficiency, you'd usually want like an actual pot, right? Like an actual pot seems to be would be more efficient for holding liquids to get depth. But it's easier to get things out. You're absolutely right. It's easier to get things out due to the shape of the wok. You can scoop things out very easily, and you have easy access to manipulating the things in the liquid. Absolutely. It's way easier to access things in a wok due to the open nature. Either way, this Keiichi does not know the first thing about deep frying in a wok or otherwise. Having literally just the first thing he did was like set his house on fire. Pretty bad. All right. Having avoided a huge fire by hair's breadth, the three of us gasped for air. And now my first question: how the fuck did you three get into my house? It's plot-induced, but Wait, what are you doing in my house? You're trespassing on private property! Yes, well, Keiichi-san, you've been caught red-handed in the act of arson. It was just about to turn into a huge building fire, wasn't it? It would be very, very sad if Keiichi was homeless after this. And after pretending to be an iron chef, I finally began to take in the situation. That was really about to set the house on fire? Is that not obvious? Just look at it! The ceiling is covered in soot, is it not? Chimneys are the only things that should be sooty! Sadoko was seriously mad at me. Maybe they saved my life. According to what they said, I was so absorbed in my fiery cooking I hadn't noticed when Satoko and Rika rang the doorbell. But they could tell someone was home, so they came in to check. And thank goodness they did. If Satoko and I hadn't come, the fire engines would have been going wee-hoo, wee-hoo right now. Keiichi, do you understand how serious this was? At some point I sat down on my knees as I listened obediently. I'm sorry? You saved my life? We thought we'd come and see what a fabulous dinner you'd made, but as we thought, it's a mess. At this rate, we don't even need to look at your bento. You're mean. So you and Rika came all this way just to see what I'd make for dinner? Us being mean saved your house and your life? Is this not something to take to heart? Yeah, I'm sorry, Satoko. At this point, having shown them such a disaster, I couldn't exactly make any rules. Yeah, his first response is like, oh, it was gonna come fine. I'm an expert at cooking with fire. I'd completely surrendered. And yet you tried really hard on the curry. Where did the Keiichi sound from back then go? Jeez. I had all our underclassmen help me then. And just borrowed entire pots from the other teams. I didn't really cook anything. Keiichi, you cheated? You might have been doing what our club usually does. That was terrible. Pouring salt on the other team's pots seemed far more terrible to me. But Satoko's in control right now, so I couldn't respond. You're being lectured by like a 10-year-old, dude. I obediently hung my head to her. By the way, Keiichi-san, this terrible pot? This wasn't supposed to be miso soup, was it? Satoko stared at the pot, totally full of miso with an awful expression. So I really did get the amount wrong. Judging by the look on Satoko's face, whatever was in the pot couldn't be called miso anymore. Forget the miso soup, the rice should be cooked fine. Rice cookers these days are pretty convenient. It should be just about done. Beep. It's not cooked. See, the inside's all watery. What? What? I switched it on, the light came on. Keiichi, the button you pushed. What's the timer button? Okay. It's set for breakfast. It won't turn on until tomorrow morning. What? So then what? In the end, I don't have a side dish or miso? Or even rice? Alright, Keiichi's gotta be the worst cook I've ever seen. He literally couldn't make a dish. He literally failed to boil water correctly to make miso soup. He failed to use a rice cooker. And obviously he obviously fucked up his deep frying, but you know, that part's pretty obvious. The record thing is, the terrifying thing is that he screwed up with a rice cooker and literally boiling water to make soup. Come on. Like, it wasn't a complicated mixture or anything. It was literally add water, put on stove, go, enjoy soup. It's instant miso, and he screwed it up. I couldn't make anything myself. It serves you right. So, have you finally realized your place? Come, admit it. Say it. I, Keiichi Maibara, am all bark and a much crummier cook than Satoko Hojo-san. Yeah, I'm a terrible person and a crummier cook than Satoko. I beg your forgiveness. I fainted in agony. Rika pat my head, satisfied at the sight. And Satoko loudly laughed in triumph. I've completely lost. In the end, I talked big but couldn't make a single dish adequately. At this rate, I'll go without dinner. And tomorrow morning, no breakfast, and no bento for lunch either. I didn't know how many days it would be before my parents returned, but at this rate, without a doubt, it's gonna be ramen 3 meals a day, my friend. I'll starve to death. Ramen 3 meals a day, my friend. Oh wait, he screwed up boiling water. Never mind. X, add water, is actually too complicated for him right now. Of course, I'll have no bento tomorrow either. And I'm sure to get the punishment game tomorrow. Ugh. Rika kept patting my head with a smile on her face that couldn't possibly get any bigger. And Satoko, completely appalled at how unsightly I looked, heaved a heavy sigh. Adult men are so pathetic, aren't they? Come on, please move yourself out of the way. As I sobbed like a girl, Satoko, displeased, brushed me aside and dumped the remains of the miso soup into the sink, tidied up, and then began to rinse the pot. Don't worry about it, Satoko. I can at least clean up after my own mess. I couldn't have Satoko clean up the cooking utensils I had made a mess of, but when I tried to stop her, Rika pulled on my clothes. Keiichi, you can just be silent and watch. She grinned as she said it. Be quiet and watch. What are you saying, Rika? She meant just what she said. Keiichi, just be quiet and leave this to me. Satoko turned around and declared, seeming bothered. As if to say that amateurs should keep their hands off. That's right, you're being forced to watch a 10-year-old do your job better than you. Her annoyed expression was a little scary. Leave what to you? Satoko didn't answer. Instead, she spun back around and began to rifle through the pots and the fridge. Hey, wait, don't mess with them too much. If you turn the place inside out, my mom will get mad at me later. Would you be quiet already? Men aren't supposed to enter the kitchen. Rika! Aye, sir. Satoko snapped her fingers, and Rika got on her tiptoes, grabbed me by the back of the neck, and started dragging me away. Leaving Satoko alone in the kitchen, Rika dragged me back into the living room. Hey, stop, Rika! Let me go already! Reminder, this is set in 1983, and not 2003 or 2023. If we leave it to Satoko, the kitchen will be a disaster. Satoko came to see how she beat you today. It's a revenge. Revenge? Come to think of it, her face looked kind of grim. Eventually, from the kitchen was the sound of a faucet being twisted and a stove dial being turned. I began to hear the nostalgic sounds that made me envision dinner time, the fridge opening and closing, ingredients being cut on the chopping board. What did that mean? Was she cooking? She made fun of her quite a lot. Satoko wanted to show you she can cook proper meals too. Just listening to it like this. There have been sounds of blood spilling or bursting or explosions. This man has watched too many cooking shows and too much anime if he thinks there is sound of blood, that blood makes a sound. And explosions in a kitchen, really? Really? How badly do things have to go for something to explode? Most of the time. At this point, at least she'd proven she was a more skillful cook than me. In the cooking showdown with Satoko Hojo versus Keiichi Maibara, it looked like victory had already been decided. I recalled Satoko's slightly annoyed expression from before. I was making fun of her too much today, wasn't I? Is she holding a grudge? We were just provoking each other with our usual back and forth, but I also think maybe I overdid it. At the very least, I shouldn't have made fun of Satoko, who could cook for herself, when I'd never cooked other than for recreation before. Satoko isn't holding very much of a grudge, but she came all the way to my house and pushed her way in. She's gotta be mad. To be fair, at this point he needs direct intervention. This man's a lost case. I quietly took a peek into the kitchen. She definitely looked different than the usual bird brain Satoko. Her eyes were sharp, her movements brisk, to the point where it was a little scary. Then, she must have noticed me because she turned around and shot me in an annoyed glare. I cringed in fear and hastily pulled my head back out. She's mad, she's totally mad. How'll she take revenge on me? Pray your mom doesn't have hot sauce. Or that you or at least not a hot sauce you can't afford to drink a lot of. That's just Satoko being serious because she doesn't want to fail. She isn't angry or anything. How could you say she isn't angry? I've never seen her be this frightening. Keiichi, I can hear that, you know. Sorry. I jumped at Satoko's angry outburst and faced towards the kitchen. I felt like a kid who'd done something bad and gotten called to the teacher's lounge. Where do you keep the miso? The refrigerator's so big I don't see any of it anywhere. Sorry, it's on the middle shelf in the fridge at the back left of the lower rack. What's this? You need to close the miso package after you finish with it. It's getting the inside of the refrigerator dirty, isn't it? Sorry. Before I can look for something to wipe it with, Satoko wiped it off with a wet dish towel. He's leaving containers open in the fridge. Interesting. I swear, how are men so bad at cleaning up after themselves? I shudder to think you'll become an adult like this. I shudder to think of it too. I couldn't talk back to Satoko today. Just accept the insult she's dealing out. The only thing I could do was obediently lower my head and apologize. As Satoko nitpicked and I apologized, a good smell began to fill the kitchen. This is how you prepare the miso for the soup. You scoop a little out with the ladle and break it up with chopsticks. It's important to add a little at a time and keep tasting it. Dumping the entire thing into the pot is absolutely outrageous. Sorry. I never paid attention in home ec class. Wait, he had a class for this and wasn't aware of how to do this? How am I a better cook than Keiichi? And I didn't get classes for this shit. You're pathetic. I swear. And grumble, grumble, grumble. I cowered at her annoyed sounding muttering. She's a little bit tilted, isn't she? But looking at her like this, she seems quite good at cooking. It had just been overshadowed by Reina and Rika's artistic abilities. Satoko's skills were clearly enough to get passing marks. Hey, if you have time to set it like that, you can go set the table. Rika and I will be eating too, so set 3 places. On it. I hastily took 3 people's worth of dishes and such from the cabinets and headed to the dining room. When I returned, I could hear laughter from a variety show on the television. Rika was sprawled out on the couch watching TV and relaxing. When she noticed me putting dishes on the table, she came scampering up. How old is the main character? He's like, I think he's in his senior year of high school. I think he's in his senior year of high school. That would make sense. He's like a year or two from graduating high school. As he's studying and encouraging Mion, who I think is like a couple months his senior. The main, yeah, they're in a split classroom. The school's really small, so literally everyone from grades 1 to 12 is going to their school, or is in the same classroom, because they live in a country. They live in a village with only 1,000 people, so there's only one classroom in the whole school. It's like 1,000 or less people in Hinamizawa. There's two schools. I think there's a town nearby that a lot of the kids go to. There's a town nearby. I forget what the name of the town is, but a bunch of the kids go there. He's 14. Okay, so he's actually old. But he's 14. I thought he was in high school. Huh. Weird. Okay. He's 14. All right. So he's like a junior in high school? He's in middle school then, right? No, there's 4 years. There's 3 years of high school. He must be in like first year high school then. Okay. Dinner time soon. Dinner time at Keiichi's house. Bye. Rika, you're in a good mood. That's a pretty big difference from Satoko. Satoko isn't in a bad mood at all. He's the same age as Shion. I could have sworn they were talking about studying for college. Okay, 14's not too bad. So he's only like a year or two older than Rika and Satoko then. Who are maybe 12. Who isn't in a bad mood at all? She's enjoying herself more than she has in a long time. Enjoying herself? Seriously? I think so. She's like how she was when her Nissan was with her. Her Nini was with her. I wasn't expecting that one. It really has been a long time since I've seen Satoko look like she's having so much fun. Nini? The heck is Nini? Makes sense why he's as useless as Aqua. Yeah, he's 14. He's 14, that makes a little sense. Is that a sound cats make? Nini means brother. Satoko's older brother. Satoko's older brother. Name's Satoshi. Haven't you heard his name before? Satoshi. Satoshi Hosho? Maybe I have, maybe I haven't. At least he didn't go to our school. Wait, Satoshi, huh? Satoko's older brother. The one who got disappeared. Oni Kikuchi'd away. Satoko is a year older than Rika? Interesting. Those are some wide ranges of ages. Satoko's older brother. That's the first time I've heard of him. She had a brother? I didn't know that. She does have one. Saying that, Rika grinned even more brightly and went, Nippa, again. When Satoko is with Satoshi, she always looks like she's having fun, just like this. It really has been a long time since I've seen Satoko enjoying herself this way. However I looked at it, she seemed to be in a bad mood. But I mean, look at Rika. Rika does not look like she's very old. In fact, I think he is the character for alternate art. Hold up. I mean, that one you can't tell shit for. But she looks pretty young in both the styles. Both the console and remake style. But she definitely isn't 6. That's a little bit low. 6 is way too young. I'd say she's probably like 12. So remember, she's like memorized some ceremonies, does some shit, carries on competent conversations with people. She's older than 6. but her good friend Rika was saying that it was actually the opposite. Is she really enjoying herself? She must be remembering the time she spent with her Nini. It's nostalgic. Nostalgic? Huh. Does he live apart from Satoko? Maybe Satoko's older brother Satoshi is actually a lot older than her? He must have gone off on his own and must be living by himself. Far, far away. Satoko seems like she got along well with this Satoshi person. She did. The two of them got along very well. Spread her arms wide to demonstrate the width of how well they got along. According to Rika, Satoko supported her docile, slightly unreliable older brother through nagging. That was their relationship. I see. That certainly applied to the current situation. We had me, unreliable, unable to cook, even a single dish properly, and Satoko, who redid it while scolding me. Could Satoko have been getting a glimpse of her brother, who now lived far away through me? So, she'd always nitpick whatever Satoshi did, but she firmly supported him and they got along well? I think she was the one. She suggested we go to Keiichi's house. I don't think it makes sense for Rika to be 6. I mean, she has, like... her conversational skills seem pretty good for someone who's discussing stuff that happened when she was in preschool. Because Satoshi disappeared last year. Right? If she's a 6, she'd be like in grade 1. That seems a little bit young. That seems a little bit young to be carrying on like a complete conversation like this. I would argue like 10 or 12 seems more reasonable. She said there's no way the unreliable Keiichi-san could possibly make dinner. We need to go make it for him. Then she didn't come here to get revenge or even anything like that? She couldn't leave you alone. And Satoko's a proper little sister. I was an only child. I didn't know how it felt to have siblings. Of course, I've never had a little sister like Satoko. She's apparently 100+ mentally. Yeah, maybe. But I felt in that moment I was an older brother obediently and helplessly being looked after by her. I feel like none of the kids in here could reasonably be like under 10. Without any teasing or messing around, I'm gonna give thanks to her for her trouble. That's what I honestly thought. I could understand being in grade 6 though, or something like that. That'd be fair. Keiichi-san, do you know where on earth the ladle is? Sorry. It's in the drawer to your right. I ran into the kitchen, got the ladle out of the drawer, and offered it to Satoko. It's all done. Have you put the bowls and things out? Yeah, everything's okay. Then let's have our meal. Rika, it's time for dinner. I heard Rika's effervescent voice coming from the dining room. Satoko turned off the gas flame on the stove and lifted up the pot of miso soup. Did you bring the rice cooker, Keiichi-san? Be careful not to flip it all over. Alright. Right, I'll be careful. I can carry rice cookers just fine without being warned about it, can he? I thought about replying like that, but I decided not to. As you'll be proven wrong. No mean words, no witty retorts today. Accept your defeat. Rice with steam billowing from it and miso soup, as well as a handful of side dishes, a proper Japanese meal. On the table was a truly firm, family-oriented dinner. It wasn't weird at all, or extravagant. It was a daily meal, the sort a housewife would make. It was very nonchalant and brimming with liveliness. And let's eat. Thank you for the food. At Satoko's command, Rika and I both thanked her in a loud voice. I made light of you, Satoko. You've beaten me soundly. Oh, you have a better opinion of me now? I may still not be as good as Rika or Reina, but I can cook far better than the helpless Keiichi-san. Yeah, I know better now. Dude, you were fucking screwed. After I honestly admitted my defeat, Satoko's expression finally softened, and she laughed with her normally loud and cheerful voice. It looks like she made some sort of stew in the pot there. In the bowl, what do we got? It looks like there's carrots, potatoes, and a dark sauce. So maybe a stew of some description? Laughed for their normally loud and cheerful voice. Alright, chomp, chomp, chomp. Ooh, the rice is cooked really well. Though she used the rice cooker, it tasted different from the rice my mom made. Maybe she used a different amount of water, or added salt or something. Even so, I could feel Stoko's personality from the rice, which made it taste better than usual. The miso soup was a little on the thick side, but it was still delicious. The side dishes, while not exactly flashy, tasted great as well. It was also appetizing, and I couldn't stop eating. The side dishes are well done too. Satoko, you're not a bad cook at all. I gave my honest impression without a hint of sarcasm. And she seemed to have been expecting some, because when I praised her so honestly, she got flustered instead. Your praise honors me, but it's nothing so grand. The side dishes are things I bought at the store and heated up. This and this. All I did was open the can. I can only really make rice and miso soup myself. Satoko said, embarrassed, her face a bit flushed. There was none of her normal verbal abuse or sarcasm in there either. I can't make anything except rice and miso soup, but when you get really ready-made dishes and put them on the table, it turns into something fairly splendid. My mom uses ready-made dishes and canned goods too. It's nothing to be so embarrassed about. This is a fantastic dinner. I gave her honest praise. I've never met Satoko's brother, but Satoshi would probably praise her in the same way. Well, I suppose it's enough now that you've come to realize I can hold my own in the kitchen. Would you like seconds? There's plenty of miso soup still left. Did that brat just awkwardly change the subject? She directly changed the subject, yes. When I realized my response had been on the mark, it made me a little happy. We eat rice like this, it's fun. It's like we're eating with Satoshi. Rika mentioned Satoko's older brother's name again, and Satoko's chopsticks paused. She looked up at the ceiling. How nostalgic. I wonder what he could be doing right now. She had a faraway smile as if yearning for a friend who'd moved away. From how it looked, I got the impression she hadn't seen him in quite some time. Satoko realized I was giving her a blank stare. I do apologize. I need a bit more water. Satoshi is my Nini. No, my older brother. Okay, I see. Nini, alright. Nini must have been a nickname only Satoko used for him. It was funny to see her hastily deny it. I thought she was just rephrasing that so you could understand it. I was rather surprised a person with such few living skills had the ability to run away. Oh, I'm sure he'll pack up shop at some point and return out of the blue. So he ran away. There was another story to what Satoko had said so cheerfully. The reason for him not living with her was a little serious. Everyone had been talking about it in such an upbeat way, so I continued to talk about him. Should I not have broached the subject at all? I hastily looked at Satoko's face after thinking that, but there was no trace of the gloomy expression I'd been worried about. Well, he's not old enough to be dreaming of living on his own. And he wouldn't be able to do that for long anyway. He has no endurance. Satoshi may not look like it. He's a very persevering person. He's a lot more persevering than you think. Rika, you always take Nini's side right away. You're a little too nice to him. Satoko's too harsh on Nini. You should treat him more kindly when he comes back. Spoilers, he's dead. Satoko and Rika-chan's views regarding Nini, aka Satoshi, were parallel to each other. But I could easily tell both of them really liked him. They were so optimistic too. Even though he'd run away from them, it was like they were going to see him again next week. They both liked Satoshi even now and waited for him, believing he would surely return. I've never met him, but I know for sure this Satoshi person, he was a really good guy. I thought Satoko would be deeply hurt by her brother running away, but she'd already overcome that. She was still being the energetic little sister, always full of vim and vigor, as if to say her brother could come back anytime he liked. I thought Satoko didn't think through anything, and just frolicked and played practical jokes every day, and that was it. But she was really... yeah. Why are you petting my head? I roughly rubbed a hand through Satoko's hair. I misunderstood you, Satoko. Wait, what does Satoko look like in alternate art style, and not the ugly kind? It looks actually very close to the same console or PC version. I didn't know you were this level-headed. Satoko seemed to think I was making fun of her and tried to bat away my hand. But she saw there wasn't a trace of malice on my face and obediently granted me her head. Offer me thy head. That I might deliver head pats. Head pats for everyone. Oh right, there's this. I think we leave it on that one. He sure is. Satoko's level-headed. I've been level-headed from the start. I was just playing pranks on you because you always do it to me. There's her usual provocation, but I decided not to buy into it today. We're making Satoko blush by delivering head pats. If only we knew we had such power all along. You're right. You were just doing it to go along with me. That's right, there wasn't any other reason. You really were so level-headed. Good for you. Is that actually a compliment? It kind of seems you're making fun of me. I'm not trying to make fun of you at all. I'm seriously complimenting you. As if I was making fun of you, Rika would be petting your head too. That's right, isn't it? When Rika makes fun of people, she usually pets their head. Rika's just like randomly making sound effects. These canned sardines are delicious. Rika went, and her smile became even brighter. Her attitude was as clear as day, but it was annoyingly cute, so both Satoko and I suddenly burst into laughter. That laughter lightened up the table. The table itself is so dull and simple that I never even thought people could be laughing like this around it. And then, I finally came to realize something really obvious. Dinner is better if you're laughing while you're eating, huh? Of course it is. Laughing makes it taste better. How rude. The food is good because I'm a good cook, obviously. This harmonious moment, this happy circle, was completely different than spending time with family, but somehow still nostalgic. Satoko, do you want to see Nini? I didn't say Nini. Call him my brother, please. Hey, wait, have you been saying Nini? Haven't you been saying that Nini this, Nini that this whole time? I grinned wryly and decided to just call him brother like she told me to. Satoko, do you want to see your brother? Rika stopped eating, then looked back and forth between my face and Satoko's. Satoko was smiling. She looked like she was trying to choose her words. And just from that, she conveyed her feelings. Honestly, she wished he would come home right now. But she wasn't that weak. Satoshi would just do what he wanted until he was satisfied. In return, she'd let him have the scolding of his lifetime, and then she'd have dinner with him and lay out his futon for him. That's a very generous sister. Well, of course I want to see him again. It's been about a year. It's been that long already? Rika smiled thinly, her eyes appearing to look far away. Well, Nini can do what he wants. It would lighten my load if he came back with more muscles and knowing how to do housework, of course. See? You said Nini again. You said it. I did not. I'd never called Nini Nini. Really? Really? You never called Nini Nini? Things rapidly returned to the usual lively atmosphere of lunchtime at school. But nothing changed about Satoko's feelings towards her brother. And in this picture, the lights are all off in this house. Despite the fact that this is a depiction of the house we are currently in, there are no lights on. Shouldn't there be like a couple lights on in the dining room or something? He was living so bravely, so strongly. Hey, Satoshi, your sister is trying so hard to watch the place while you're gone, isn't she? Give it a rest and come back soon. Got it? Toko, it's time to clean up, or else we'll get sleepy. It was when we were all watching TV while enjoying some tea after dinner. Rika let out a big yawn and then spoke. Satoko and I both looked at the clock and noticed how late it had gotten. Or perhaps we both realized it already. We just didn't want this warm moment to end. Maybe we didn't want to say anything. Oh, this will not do. I still haven't washed the dishes yet. Don't worry, I can do that much at least. Please tell me he can do it. You made a great dinner. I can't let you do the dishes too. Are you sure you'll be alright? I can already see Keiichi Maibara somehow managing to die trying to clean the dishes. He's like, how do I put these plates in the I saw the dish rack, so I'm gonna say, how do I put these plates in the dish rack? Keiichi Maibara struggling to put plates in a dish rack, breaks one in half, stabs himself, bleeds out, because there's no one around him. It's like the ultimate, you know, those like late night infomercials or weird product advertisements that show just like absurd incompetence of people. It's like, and then we have like one of those where it's like, you know, instead of someone fumbling to hold like a simple container, we have Keiichi Maibara just like breaking plates with his head to try and get them to like sit in the dish rack because he can't figure out that you're supposed to put them vertically instead of horizontally or some shit. He's showing up here. When people aren't used to it, try and wash them. The soap could make the dishes slip out of their hands, you know? Or that. You turned it into a perfect nagging little sister. Oh my god. It was charming and awkward. Emotions like that were all mixed up inside me. I gave her a vague, dry smile. Keiichi can at least wash dishes. If you break one and hurt yourself, I'll give you pettings at school tomorrow. Oh. Rika yawned again, so wide you could see her molars. Is it really alright? Keiichi's pretty unreliable despite how he looks. Give me a break. It looks like Keiichi's approval ratings have plummeted in Satoko's mind. Don't worry, I'll clean the dishes, no problem. Don't worry about it and go home. Actually, at this hour, I can't let you two go home by yourselves. I'll take you there. Let me find the key for my bike. Once you've taken us home, Keiichi-san will be the one going home by himself. He'll be in big trouble if he gets lost on the roads at night and end up in Takatsudo. There's no houses or lights out there after all. I was trying to worry about them going home, but I didn't think they'd be worried about me getting lost. I mean, to be fair, if this guy has gotten lost going in a simple direction, like towards the road out of town. He did that, I think, in the first arc. He got completely lost. Am I really that unreliable? She's being critical, but yeah. He admits he would get lost walking straight. This feeling I have, it's not bad. So I ended up not needing to escort them. I saw off Satoko and Rika to the gate. Thanks a lot for today. Thanks to you, I got a good cultural dinner. If Satoko hadn't come, Keiichi'd be growling and yowling right now. Or... Truly, it really is good we came. They really saved me. I gave them another bow filled with gratitude. Oh yes, I put the rice and side dishes into a container, so use that for your bento tomorrow. And for breakfast, you can eat some bread and jam. Strawberry jam and peanut butter were in your refrigerator on the middle shelf to the right. Cocoa powder, too, was in the upper right door of the cupboard. I know all that, you don't have to go into detail. I was about to say that, but I decided to humbly listen to her. She memorized the locations of every ingredient in your kitchen. That's quite impressive. It was then I realized that Satoko, who appeared to be in a bad mood, was in fact in a great one, just like Rika had said. And that though she nagged a lot, she is very kind. We're seeing a whole new side of Satoko. Usually she's just complete bitch. Usually she's just like complete bitch, but here we go. Alright, good night. Make sure to brush your teeth before you go to bed. You have to do it for at least 5 minutes. I got it, Satoko. I'll brush my teeth and make breakfast for tomorrow. And I'll be sure not to forget the bento. You need to wake up earlier than usual, or you won't be able to get your breakfast or bento ready. Got it? If you like, I can give you a call a little earlier to wake you up instead of using your alarm clock. You don't have to go that far. I'll set my alarm to wake me up a little early. Thanks for being so concerned. Satoko looked like she had more fault-finding to do. This is where our character forgets to wake up early tomorrow. But she stopped, and leaving me with a good night, got on her bike and disappeared down the road. Rika went to do the same, but then remembered something and came back. What's wrong, Rika? Did you forget something? Keiichi, you get 100 points for today. Clap, clap, clap. Rika suddenly complimented me. She clapped her small hands. What was she on about? I didn't do anything worthy of praise, did I? I nearly burned down the house, after all. Satoko probably felt like her Nini had come home. I think she was having a lot of fun. Well, that's nice to hear. That sounds nice to hear. Once in a while, I want you to go along with Satoko's scolding in the future. Are you telling me to be like an older brother she can scold instead of Satoshi? Rika didn't say anything. She just smiled and went all, This Satoshi person. Ooh, the moon. We haven't seen a shot like that in a while. He has such a great little sister. What was he unhappy about? If I were Satoshi, I'd never run away from home. Satoshi had his own circumstances, I'm sure. I didn't know what he was unhappy with, but whatever the reason, it was no excuse for abandoning Satoko. I mean, he's at the bottom of a well dead, so it's not exactly his fault. I hope he comes back soon. I probably can't play the role of her actual Nini forever, you know? It's okay, you were just like Satoshi today. Please do it again sometime. Please do it again sometime. Please almost burn down your house again. If that's what would make Satoko happy, I'll take on this easy role whenever I needed to. Rika! Satoko stopped her bike under a distant exterior light and called out to her friend, who wasn't coming no matter how long she waited. Okay, I have to go. Good night. Yeah, good night. I can't replace Satoshi, but Keiichi could do it. That's one less piece of baggage I need to shoulder. Leaving me with that, Rika sped off on her bike. Okay, how old are people normally when they learn to ride a bike? How old are people normally when they can ride a bike? Like age? Age to ride a bike. Like, I don't know, can I Google that? Hmm. 3 to 8 for a full bicycle. Average age of just over 5. Okay. I wasn't sure what the numbers would be on that. Nice. It says 3 to 8. Google says 3 to 8 for learning to ride a bike. I didn't even know a 3-year-old could ride bicycle. I didn't even know your average 3-year-old could, but apparently your average 3-year-old knows how to ride a bike, so. Or, sorry, on average it said 5, but I mean, in theory, if you wanted to, you could get a 3-year-old to ride a bike, which is a little bit impressive. Seems a little bit impressive, but maybe my sense of timescale is wrong? I don't know. So Rika speeds off. She rode up next to Satoko, and then the two of them disappeared in the blink of an eye. Oshi. Seriously, come back soon, got it? If you come home really late, I'll punch you right in the nose. Let's try our best until that day comes, Satoko. Even if I could no longer hear the sounds of their bicycles, I stood there for a while, seeing them off. I just noticed there's like a small path here. He's not just walking on the grass, there's a small path along the bushes. Probably stone or concrete. Probably concrete. Although he might have walked on the grass. New tips, Satoko's trap course. The elementary version, okay. Well, I'm gonna start with saving. That was chapter 1. A good chapter, to be sure. Alright, Satoko's gonna teach us about trapping. The fun kind of trapping. I know one thing for sure. Satoko could fend off an entire army division by holing up in this mountain. I know all about it. Satoko was one of the Soviet military advisors that gave training on traps to that one country. Stop saying weird things. Somebody help me. How did it come to this? What traps did we fall for? How did we fall for them? Mion was caught in a profusely thin pitfall she couldn't escape from, and only her head was poking up from above the ground. Reina's head was completely covered by a tin bucket, and she was squirming around in a vain attempt to remove it. Either of these were really funny, but that's where it ended. At least they had their feet on the ground. K-Chan, what about you? Think you can get out of that? Hurry up and get out so you can save this old man. You're the one who should be breaking out and saving me, Mion. What did you expect me to do with this freaking bamboo mat? I was wrapped in a bamboo mat hanging 2 meters above the ground. What was this trap and how did I fall into it? It was Satoko. Satoko is in fact an excellent trapper. This all started when they suggested that I was unfamiliar with nature, having grown up in the city, and proposed a little exploration on the mountain. Of course. But Reina doesn't really know how it is back there either. Reina might get lost. Mountain out back, huh? I played there a lot when I was little, but I haven't gone there for years. You get lost out there, things can get pretty dangerous. You can leave the mountain to us. The whole thing is our playground. Right, Rika? Oh, I see. How reassuring. We'll defer to you two this time and have you be our tour guides. Oh, wait, Keiji-kun, the summer vacation guidebook says not to play on the mountain because you get lost. It isn't summer vacation yet. It's alright. We know the path, so there's no need to worry. The mountain's always been our playground, our backyard. We know all the secret paths and shortcuts. Yes, both Satoko and Rika knew the path like the back of their hands. Thanks to them, we had our fill of fresh air, gorgeous views, and Mother Nature, the likes of which you can never see in the village. Are there, like, not flies or mosquitoes in Japan? Wait, does Japan actually not have mosquitoes? I never thought about that. They're an island. How do mosquitoes even get there? They probably can't fly over, like, 100 kilometers. Does Japan have mosquitoes? Important question. There are mosquitoes. Damn. 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 I was hoping they'd be fortunate enough to not exist there. I'm like, it's an island. Maybe there's no mosquitoes, but alas. Alas. Alas, mosquitoes do exist. I was hoping there would be no mosquitoes in Japan. You know, good news. Alas. The insectile vampires exist in Japan as well. Oh, alas. So vacationing in Japan will not bring me freedom from the mosquito menace, the insectile menace. But things got strange partway through. Oh, partway through their tour? Oh yes, everyone, I have something to say. From here on, you must follow exactly where I go. What are you talking about all of a sudden? Be safer to do as Satoko says. Oh my. Michan, look at this. What is it? Should I pull it? Should I? Should I? Suddenly. Wait. When Reina pulled the kite string, a bundle of bamboo spears fastened to a tree branch all came raining down with a clatter right next to where Reina was standing. What? What is this? What? What? And that brings back memory. Satoko made this trap in the second semester of 2nd grade. Satoko is in at least 2nd grade. Satoko is in at least 2nd grade, and that was not this year. Interesting. So, And Rika remembers that, so how old is Rika? I would guess Rika is older than 6 from that. That was a close one. The tips of the spears are covered in dog poop, so if one of them hurts you, the wound will start to fester. Really? Really? Oh, she's making legit lethal traps. But when did this turn into freaking Vietnam? Wait, it's the 80s. Is that appropriate? Is that appropriate? Oh, the Vietnam War ended in 1975. Not bad. That is appropriate. Very topical. Good job, Keiichi. This ain't fucking Nam. According to Satoko and Rika, earlier in elementary school, Satoko had been on a trap-making craze and set them up along every inch of this mountain. Keiichi, maybe they didn't tell us not to go on the mountain because we'd get lost, but because it was dangerous? Mion and I both nodded wholeheartedly at Reina's hypothesis. Come now, we're hurrying on ahead. If we don't return soon, it'll get dark. If it gets dark, it might even become even dangerous for me. But you're the one who brought us to this crazy mountain? Why was an average healthy Japanese boy like me being forced to deal with life-threatening booby trap? And then, the very moment Satoko and Rika just got out of line of sight was when the three of us all got caught in nice little traps together. Someone get me out! I have to go to the bathroom! Remind that. Someone get this bucket off me! I can't see in front of me! Ah. Wait, Reina, don't struggle so much. I can see your panties. Ah! You saw! You saw! Keiichi, you saw! Apparently he saw. Smash, 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 crash, bash. Of course you can see them. You might be in a bucket, but you can definitely. Bucket Reina was using me as a sandbag, and Mion was crying. You can't get out of the pitfall. How sad. How sad. Jeez, didn't I tell you all? You weren't supposed to leave my side. I finally had an epiphany. Satoko had been so bent on taking everyone out to the mountain because she wanted to brag about all the traps she'd set up here over the years. You could have stopped at just showing them to us. I didn't need to experience how it felt firsthand. Reina, Rika-chan pets our three heads in sequence in an incredibly satisfied mood. You know, that was actually a really fun tips. I don't think that was strictly necessary. Like, plot-wise, that didn't really help us, but that was actually a really fun scene. Definitely worth reading. Okay, end chapter 1. Oh, hold up. Did they change the kanji for the save menu? I think they did. There's also like 10 pages of save slots in this game. I'm not even sure why you'd want 10 pages of save slots, but okay. I guess it's probably like an infinite thing, or they just set an arbitrarily large amount and decided that was enough. It's a nice chill track. Alright, let's continue. One more chapter. I think we can get one chapter in, although it was a pretty long chapter to start off with. Oh, there's the school angle. Okay. Okay, anyway. Lunchtime's finally arrived. Mion gleefully announced the beginning of lunch. Oh, lunchtime at last. Someone here will have to play the punishment game, yes? The punishment this time's a little scary, so... sorry, but Reina went all out on making her bento. In Reina's case, I don't think she'd lose even if she wasn't taking it seriously. We tried our hardest too. Satoko and Rika made separate lunches today. Usually you have the same bento, but that won't do for the showdown today, will it? Yes, it's quite alright. Rika and I made sure to make separate ones. Wow, Satoko and Rika both tried really hard. How exciting! What's a little surprising is that Kei-chan was able to make a bento. Good job, Kei-chan. It looks like you really can do it if you try. I scratched my head and gave her a dry smile. He's like, I didn't make shit. My bento today had been made entirely by Satoko last night. It had none of my personality, so there wasn't anything there that they could praise me for. Does Keiichi-kun's bento look like? I can't wait to see. Don't expect too much. It's just the leftover rice and side dishes from last night. Leftovers are the foundations of bento. Now we'll know your dinner last night too. We'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Was it really better to hide the fact that Satoko came over and made dinner last night? Well, of course it was. If I revealed I didn't make my own bento, I'd be sure to end up playing the punishment game. He might get it anyway. Today's punishment game was to stand right in front of the curry maniac Chie-sensei and say bad things about curry. It wasn't too different from telling someone to jump out of a 100th story window. It was exactly the same as telling someone to die. But Mii-chan, how will we decide who wins and loses the bento showdown? Keiichi-kun made his own too, so if we should call it a draw for today? We can do that. The punishment game yesterday was sort of a whip to encourage Keiichi-san to cook for himself after all. Keiichi made his own too, so it's a draw. My simple bento with last night's leftovers could never have stood up to everyone else's bento they made to win. I fully understood Satoko and Rika's concern as they tried to end the showdown peaceably. But however, the club president would not be convinced by something like that. I wonder why you're all so optimistic. Leaving one of our showdowns in such a gray area is out of the question. Now that we've clashed, we must settle the score. Reconciling with a draw only happens in the Yakuza world. I didn't say that. There's no way it'd end that way with your battle lust. This is bad. At this rate, I was sure to be the sole loser. But well, I didn't make this bento after all. Maybe I need to resign myself to my inevitable loss. Okay, Mii. How are we going to decide who wins? It won't be fair if we grade each other's. Let's do an open judgment. Okay, everyone. Assemble. Mion commanded everyone who'd started eating using her club president voice. Come and judge our 5 bento. Write your favorite 3 on a piece of paper and submit it. Understood? Everyone in class was used to being dragged into Mion's club activities. Yeah, came the energetic voices from here and there. Free food. Everyone knew the showdown this time involved an utterly fatal punishment game. And they were all very interested in what would happen to whoever lost. Of course, they wanted the thrill of seeing something terrifying. Wait, what does Mion look like? Okay, bad graphics, cringe. I don't know if that's better or worse. I feel like this is probably a little better. Everyone ready? I'll go first, alright? Ta-da! In an exaggerated fashion, Mion pulled the lid off of her multi-tiered, ornate bento box. How many people is she planning on feeding? Do we have pictures? Multiple cheers of joy erupted at the brilliant sight. That's amazing. It's like New Year's food. It can't be. It has to be a lie. She must have switched the contents with a catered bento. That's purely Japanese cooking. Mion Sonozaki couldn't possibly make this. Nope, this is easy for Mii-chan if she gets serious. Damn, she doesn't fuck around, I guess, with cooking either. She almost never gets serious, though. Just who do you think this old man is? Given enough time and ingredients, I could even reproduce the Manchu Han Imperial Feast. The entire class gulped audibly, and everyone wrote down a score on the notepaper in their hands simultaneously. An easy 9? Oh wait, no, they're writing down their 3 favorite, right? It made sense. Just the visual impact would give her a perfect score. Alright, let's see Reina's next. Reina's pretty good at cooking too. Reina's bento's always like a flower arrangement. Thanks everyone. I'll reveal my bento. Okay. Reina, what do you got? Reina's bento was a beautiful mix of the 2 colors of eggs and minced meat. And it too was a bento staple. The Soboro bento. She had been thorough with the side dishes as well. They were abundant in number. She had spent more time than usual on it, but it was unassuming and truly nonchalant. One couldn't ignore the household warmth in it that Mion's bento lacked. If I may say, you've done it again. You should get quite a high score. I should have known. It may look rigid, but there isn't anything to deduct points from. Amazing, as always. And once again, every one of the judges wrote a score on their notepaper at the same time. There seemed to be some who were revising their opinions when they compared it to me on the score, too. The whole classroom seemed split between Mion and Reina, and on everyone's face it was clear. They all wanted to be tasting them, rather than scoring them. Then we'll be next. Yes, I'll now reveal mine, come to think of it. Toko and Rika ate with me last night at my house. It was impressive they still made a bento. Both their bentos were clearly lacking compared to Mion's artfulness and Reina's perfection. However, because of that, you could sense from them how hard they worked. The toppings were a little on the rough side, but you could still feel that they tried their hardest. It made you feel a little biased. You'd give them more points. A few people struck by that, once again revised their opinions and wrote in scores on their notepaper. Toko, Rika, you both made really good bentos today. They may not measure up to Reina or Mion's craftsmanship, but when you think about that, they're pretty amazing. Toko and Rika glanced at each other and then grinned happily. It's a secret, okay? What? 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 When Satoko told me, I broke off from the others and secretly looked for my classmates' bento boxes. There, Tomita and Okamura-kun's bento boxes. I took a quick pick inside and half the contents were missing! Not bad. In the end, Satoko and Rika hadn't made bento today. A bold move. They got Tomita and Okamura to share their bentos with them. Hey, Tomita and Okamura, how did they buy you out? What are you saying, Mabara? When did we get bought out? For what? That's right. It's not like we traded them our duty water in the garden for half our bentos. Curse you, Satoko. What an impudent trick. Satoko grinned, showing her fang-like canines, and laughed in triumph. Yeah, last minute swapping. Oh, this is only something I learned from you, Keiichi-chan. Keiichi-san. Yes. How naive. Buying them out with watering duty alone. They're men. If you're gonna buy them out, you need to use something a lot spicier than that. For example, like giving them 3 tickets to walk Satoko and Rika around like dogs all day, with them on all fours, wearing tails and with leashes around their necks. Interesting, Keiichi-san. You seem to really like pet play. Well, that might be enough to get me to do anything. As I was lost in my wild fantasies, Mion clapped me on the shoulder and called me back to reality. Damn, was good. Yeah, he really is into that. Alright. Alright, next up is Kei-chan's bento. We're all hoping for something pretty great because of your declaration yesterday, but how did it really turn out? Keiichi can do it if he needs to. Reina was really excited for today. They're all looking forward to it, but it's really just leftovers from dinner last night. I didn't even make it either. How is that supposed to stand up to Mion, Reina, and the others? That's it. Feast your eyes on this. Ha! I tore the lid off my box. There weren't many cheers. Well, I guess there wouldn't be. Keiichi, you tried your hardest too. Reina can tell how hard you worked. Reina, don't feel like you need to compliment me. How did this happen? Was Keiichi a hard worker after all? Well, I mean, I want to acknowledge how hard you tried, but for this showdown, it doesn't matter. Mion's cold, mean laugh. It was like it spoke for everyone's opinion. Just like that. Keiichi, you did really well considering it was his first challenge. You know? I think maybe everyone should rate his liar. Ooh, the pity points. Even your opponents are giving you pity points. Oof. But for the showdown, it doesn't matter. Alright, Kei-chan. If you have any last words before we tally the results, I'll listen to them now. What do you mean by last words? I mean, you might be hoping for a few extra points if you appeal somehow to the crowd. After all, for today's showdown, you just need to avoid coming in last. If you do well enough, maybe you'll be able to worm out of the punishment game. Oh, are you implying Keiichi's bento is going to take last place, aren't you? No, this old man's not trying to say anyone's came in last place or anything. Mion cackled repulsively. In contrast, Satoko's smile was growing somehow awkward. Oh, right. The bento was filled with last night's side dishes. That means it was basically a bento Satoko made, and Mion outright said it would come in last. Michin, aren't you being a little mean? Poor Keiichi-kun. Reina, Keiichi knew he couldn't lose today's bento showdown beforehand, didn't he? He did all his grandstanding yesterday. Well aware of that. I don't think there's any reason to go easy on him, do you? Right, Satoko? Yes, you're right. And he came here with this mess. It makes me laugh. And she's like has to shit on her own food. Oof. Poor Satoko. It's her food and she's like roasting it. Oh. Wait, Satoko. You can't laugh at him. That bento's so ridiculous. I can't help but laugh. These side dishes look like they were bought from a shop. It's really disillusioning. Look, this was taken out of a can, wasn't it? This cucumber here isn't cut cleanly, like the knife didn't go all the way through. Kei-chan, you never used a knife, did you? Your lack of experience is apparent. But this goes beyond a simple lack of experience. The presentation is fairly monotonous as well. It's almost a shock to see such a lack of taste. It was my first experience putting food into a bento box, so of course I'm not going to look so good. Kei-chan, there's a bigger problem than how you put it into the box. Tomita, Okamura, explain please. Tomita and Okamura-kun were chosen from our many underclassmen. Tomita quickly adjusted his glasses and took a step forward. Oh no, he's gonna get roasted by them too. You're not gonna earn any brownie points. Oh, they have sprites now. He's gonna roast one of them. I forget which one likes Satoko, and he's gonna roast his crushes. The fatal flaw in my Barasan's bento. Okay, I'm listening. They did the whole glasses thing. I heard that sound. The fatal flaw is the coloration. As you know, there are 3 primary colors forming the basis of all colors. So if you want a well-balanced color scheme, then excluding black and white, you need those 3 colors. And nevertheless, if you remove the white and black from my Barasan's bento, all that would be left is dark green. Dark green. No one would want to eat it if you describe it like that. I'd forgotten. Tomita and Okamura had been bought out by Rika and Satoko, so they were trying their hardest to let them win and make me lose, weren't they? What strong wills they have. It was charming, if only because they were working so hard despite having been bought out. The side dishes have no spirit in them either. They're all pre-packaged or canned food. In other words, out of the 3 necessary requirements for a bento, love, spirit, and taste, we can assert that my Barasan's bento is lacking 2. The classroom, convinced by the elucidation of the mystery, they were thoroughly baffled with raised, mysterious groans of admiration. No heart and no spirit. It's decided then. Keiichi Maibara. This may sound cold, but if you realized how much fun cooking is because of this, Keiichi, isn't that enough? Enough? In any case, everything's fine as long as I'm not doing the punishment game. Brandon was giving it a try. Smile as well. Ooh, that's awkward. She gave you the food, and it's getting roasted for not being enough. All she was trying to win. Oh, it's been settled, Keiichi-san. You're gonna be the one doing the punishment game. She laughed in such a vile manner, but she didn't look like she meant it. I knew Satoko was speaking ill of a bento she'd practically made herself in front of the whole classroom, and I could tell how painful that laughter was. Okamura said before this bento lacked spirit, but among all the bento laid out today, there wasn't a single one with as much spirit as this one. This meal that she made for me yesterday in such a good mood, though it looked like she was in a bad one, I won't let it end with this slander. Well then, last pledge, Keiichi-san. Please admit your honest defeat already. Wait a moment. When I began to speak in a low voice, the expressions of all the members of the club changed. Mion clicked her tongue. This man was baring his fangs at the last moment again. My bento was defeated because it lacked spirit. That's how you explain it? Am I wrong, Okamura-kun? Okamura, who had suddenly been placed in the spotlight, looked flustered for a moment, but immediately stammered in reply that I was right. How do you measure spirit by... Oh, interesting. Another graphic. Oh my god, hold up. Wait. What's hide text? Spacebar? Oh my god, that's Smug Rika. Holy shit. I don't know where Satoko is, but Smug Rika is looking extra fine today. Holy shit. Look at that Rika. Look at that Rika in the bottom right corner. The Reina is not looking bad either. I kind of wish I could have those separately as cutouts. That's a good smug face, right? That's gotta be a good smug face. And Rika's just looking cute, like she's cheering you on. I actually really like the art here. I'm jealous of the console version. By difficulty, by effort, by sweat or tears, by its manifestation. How would you rate these burns that are still on my hands? Keiji, those are oil burns? Great, the burn marks from when I almost caused a fire yesterday looked just like I was having a ton of trouble cooking. I could clearly tell the cast room was forced to acknowledge the effort I put in. I see. You turn your failures at cooking due to lack of skill into scars of hard work instead. As I thought, I cannot falter around this man. That's right, I lacked skill. I'm so bad at cooking, my grandstanding yesterday was pitiful, but it didn't run away. I fought, and I delivered these results. Is that not spirit? What do you think? Reina wants to acknowledge it. Nobody can keep going if their defiant spirit doesn't get value. Girls in the class started to nod in agreement. Okay, the tables are turning. But Tomita and Okamura, bought out by the objects of their unrequited affection, were not about to lose either. They shifted to counterattack, clearly exceeding the price they were paid. I see. I understand your feelings, my Bara-san. However, if spirit was all that mattered in cooking, the world wouldn't need chefs. That's right. If a chef brought you burned steak and said they put their spirit into it and tried hard, would you pay them? Ooh, you wouldn't, would you? A heavy blow. It's the same thing! That's right, that's how it goes. The male students took Tomita and Okamura's side. They did have a point. What about consideration? Even if you get a totally black steak. If I knew how much the mother who made it struggled, I'd eat it. I'd eat it all! Bravo, sir! This time, the female students in the class took my side. Good. Now we're even. Besides, a bento is a refinement of one's love given form. It only means something when the other person feels that way. Does your bento make us feel that way, my Bara? No, it doesn't make me feel that way. You're mean. The girls in the class began to boo loudly at his remark. Now even Okamura-san was panicking. Order! Will the spectators please refrain from making remarks? Your Honor, in order to prove how much of my spirit has gone into this bento, I call Miss Ryuga Reina, an authority in the culinary arts, to the stand. Reina thinks this bento has spirit in it. Ooh, too late to remove text. Bam it again. It might be rather artless in places, but I think the cooking isn't just about outward appearances. The girls in the class again gave cries of support as they all applauded. In response, all the men in class began to boo. Your Honor. I don't remember what visuals we had, so I'll just remove the visuals briefly for all of these. The opinions of Ibara and Ryuga are extremely sentimental and aren't in falling with common sense. They are unsuitable to use as evidence. Order. The prosecution's objection is sustained. Go ahead. Let's replace the bento in question with a birthday present, for example. Let's say on my birthday, I, Tomita, received a hand-knitted sweater. And he, Okamura, received a bookstore gift certificate for 10,000 yen. That felt strangely real, almost like it's happened to him. Was it actually just an example? Common sense dictates which one of them has spirit. It is, of course, the hand-knitted sweater. If we went back to the bento, this would be handmade side dishes. And the gift certificate. Nothing more than money allows you to buy things. In other words, it's the same as simple, meaningless, canned goods. Boys and girls began to argue amongst themselves about presents. They were all talking about what they received as presents in the past. Damn it.
Tomita changed the subject to something that can easily grab people's attention. Not bad. I'll lose the initiative at this rate. Objection. This matter regards the spirit put into the bento. It is entirely different from birthday presents, as they are unique situations. Overruled. The prosecution, please continue. Damn it. Damn it. We're losing. Now then. What's important here is the fact that the spirit of the giver and spirit of the receiver are totally different. Between the handmade sweater that looks a bit askew and the 10,000 yen bookstore certificate placed here before your very eyes, which would you say is the better choice? The gift certificate, correct? It's 10,000 yen! 10,000! Can you calculate how many comic books you could buy with that? I mean, I don't know about that. The 10,000 yen seems pretty useful, but if you, in theory, the sweater is probably worth more if you contemplate man hours put into it, right? You could instantly complete a full collection if it was 10 volumes long. 10 volumes of manga. Think about it. Dozens of happy, humorous, slightly perverted manga. The bliss of your soothed heart can't be compared to the sweater. The boys unanimously praised that with applause. Materialistic assholes. But all guys that our age are like that. Even I would choose the gift certificate over the sweater in that case. Wait, aren't you the guys the one who said it was about love, spirit, and taste right at the start? Looks like they've reversed their opinions. Since when did taste trump all? That's the stance they were taking right now. I believe this is demonstrated the spirit of the giver and spirit of the receiver have no causal relationship. Yes. No matter how much my Baro-san struggled to make this bento, that cannot enter into consideration for the rest of us on the receiving end. Mere sophistry, Tomita-kun. It has plenty of spirit. Whether that gets through or not is the receiver's problem. That's right. Taste is most important. Enemy of women. What was that ugly? Now the courtroom is in chaos, but I can't allow myself to lose. Not only to avoid the punishment game, but also to protect Satoko's honor. Now then, do the defendants have a response to give? Slowly and strongly I nod, and step up to the dais. Tomita-kun, Okamura-kun, do you two really think you can beat me with mere words? Out. The prosecution said we should value the gift without basing it on the spirit of the giver, correct? At some point, I began speaking formally. Yes, that's right. No matter how much you labor to make that bento, that labor should not factor into our grading. Then I have a question for the prosecution. If I, my bar, were to take the bento I made for today and placed it beside one bought from the store, would both be given the same score? Prosecution hesitated to speak. Gotcha. Oh, someone wanted Smug Rika. Smug Rika away. I'll give it a nice 20 seconds. We can enjoy Rika being smug. Reina cheering us in the background, and it seems like Mion biting her thumb at us. Or chewing on her thumbnail, one of those two. I choose to believe she's biting her thumb. Because I think that was the opening of Romeo and Juliet, right? And done. Right, a convenience store bento doesn't even come close to a homemade one. No matter how badly made it is, it has far more spirit than a bento you just bought would ever have. You see, that spirit is being graded, meaning the spirit the cook can put into the bento has already reached the recipients. Admit it. Boom. With those impactful words drawn in the air behind me, I pointed my finger. The girls, led by Reina, broke into applause. Some of the boys were admitting it too. I'll admit it. You admitted it. You admitted it, right? Let's move on to why a convenience store bento has no spirit in it. What exactly is the spirit of a bento in the first place? Objection. My bar is trying to deceive the court using abstract expressions. Objection overruled. This sounds interesting. Listen till he's down. Got him. I'll show you two the difference between us. Your Honor. I'd like to call Miss Rika Furude to the stand as a witness. Even for Rika, that must have seemed like a bolt from the blue. There's no doubt she never dreamed that the point of my spear would be aiming at her. But Rika, you said it before. For this showdown, it doesn't matter. Rika Furude, your bento today was well made. It looks delicious. Me? Yes. Satoko and Rika's bentos had been made of half Tomita's and Okamura-kun's. The prosecutor's faces turned pale, but they were too late. Reina, would you bring Okamura-kun's bento over here? Okay, sure. Your Honor, my bento has no relevance to this case. Overruled. Your Honor, I submit Okamura-kun's bento box as evidence. Look at what's inside. There's only half in here. It's not about whether there's half, please. Look a little more closely. See? They're exactly the same. Your Honor, you've seen it. Miss Rika Furude's bento is stolen from Okamura-kun's. There's no way such a thing could have spirit in it. That's just a coincidence. It's already obvious. Spirit, it's a game of catch between the giver and the receiver. The bento box, then, is the ball, and that bento was something Okamura was given from mother to son. That means Okamura is the only one who can feel the spirit from this bento box. And now that it's been disturbed and stolen, it no longer has that spirit. Dun dun dun. That did it. What? Is that true? Rika, is that true? Meep. She responds with meep nipa. I see how it is. Mion the judge folded her arms and began to hum. I couldn't even take a guess as to what Mion was laughing about. Frankly, I didn't know whether I would win or lose. Okay, before announcing my judgment, I'll start from the top. Shh. The entire classroom quieted. First, from an objective standpoint, there is no doubt the bento of the accused, Keiichi Maibara, must be seen as poorly made. This is something that grading results clearly display. Ugh. But as Kei-chan said, cooking is not all about taste. Oh my god, this guy always wins on some abstract argument. I know it's his strength, but the spirit put into it should be seen as subtle seasoning. For grading, though, that would only amount to a few points. It's so subtle, it's not enough to alter the results. Yep, that's true. Now then, I'd like to mention the original reason for today's bento showdown. What was the reason for it? That's right. We started to see whether the accused could cook for himself and to measure the result. Yeah, that's right. Keiichi did make his own bento. That stung my conscience a bit, but for the showdown, it didn't matter. So the whole basis behind this showdown was to cook a meal for yourself. In other words, whether or not the meal was homemade. Rika neglecting to do that is a much bigger problem than how good her bento is. In other words, is she disqualified? Rika let out a nipa, looking as though she'd prepared herself for this outcome. Don't take it personally, Rika. At our club, things like that don't matter. Keiichi did well, just like I thought. You tried your hardest until the very end. Rika demanded I lower my head, then she pet it. With that over, this case is closed. Today's last place goes to Rika Furude. That miraculous turnaround. And last place went to Rika, the one everyone had least expected. The whole classroom went wild. I'm amazed you managed to avoid coming in last place with such a terrible bento. Satoko looked at me hatefully, but spoke in a vague kind of voice. There's no way I'd come in last. There's nothing in this bento that would deserve last place. It's got ready-made side dishes and canned goods. It has no style. Satoko was speaking more and more poorly of herself as time went on, so I roughly grabbed her head and began to stroke it. I told you, spirit's important. And this bento isn't all about appearance. It's got all kinds of flavors in it. But spirit is the only thing. It tastes totally weird. Wait, what about it's weird? I thought it was great. It was absolutely great. That's why I packed it. If dinner last night had been bad, I would never have brought it to school. I would have come here with bread and a milk carton. But... Shut up already. I caressed her head, swinging it from side to side. At some point, Reina came up behind us. She was giggling to herself. It was the face of someone who knew everything from the beginning. When did you realize I hadn't made it? When you showed us your burns, I guess. I mean, there's nothing in your bento you needed oil for. Reina, don't you think you're misunderstanding something? I didn't do anything. Satoko? You weren't the one who made this bento? Didn't Keiichi make it by himself after all? Okay, I guess he did. Reina smiled roguishly and turned from Satoko to me. When you cut cucumbers, you hold the knife like this and go like this. As for the colors, you can express all sorts of things if you place vegetables in the right way. This lecture was clearly not meant for me. But you've gotten a lot better since the last time you showed us. I see you've been studying. If you keep this up, I bet you'll be able to make better and better dishes in no time. Continued saying words clearly meant for Satoko while facing me instead. Satoko was wearing an ambiguous look and couldn't even nod her head at her. Anyway, no matter what anyone says, I like the way my bento is today. I'm not going to share it with anyone else either. I'll eat this whole thing myself. Well, how greedy. Reina wants to try some too. As if we were going back and forth. As we were going back and forth, Satoko rubbed her eyes as though she was drowsy and announced to Mion and everyone else, Excuse me, the truth is, I got Tomito to give me some of his bento. Stupid. Hojo, what do you say? If you'd kept it a secret, at least she would have been saved. Tomita looked at her with an expression filled with regret and surprise. Is that true? Really? Oh my. Mion spun her finger around and pointed to the hallway, sentencing Satoko to the punishment game as well. Satoko left the classroom behind her, completely prepared as though she was going with Rika on an errand. I can't let Rika go alone. I'll accompany her to the depths of hell. You don't need to go that far. My word. Keiichi-san really is terrible too. Humiliating only Rika like that. Truly a rotten person. I could just return Satoko's kindness with malice. Satoko really is silly. Rika spoke so only I could hear, grinning happily. Now then, let's be off, Rika. Punishment games are one of our duties as club members. Satoko seemed awfully happy and not frustrated in the slightest like she always was when she lost. Damn it. Rika's right after all. Everyone here's an idiot. Mion, I'll come clean too. I didn't make my bento today. I was the same. So I'm going with them. For the punishment game. Huh? Even you, Kei-chan? What's going on? Good luck. With the punishment game, I mean. I'll get the first aid kit ready. Call an ambulance in advance, please. And maybe a hearse, just in case. Leaving a bewildered Mion and a happily smiling Reina behind in the classroom, I went into the hallway. What are you doing? You finally won for once. I had no idea you had such an odd taste for these punishment games. You'd go so far as to volunteer yourself when didn't Satoko just do that herself? Now like half the team's suffering. For cheating? Guess so. A little much for a hobby, yeah? I swear. I think you're underestimating this one. We're one thing, but grave harm might actually befall you, Keiichi-san. I hope you're ready to have 1 or 2 ribs broken. That sounds like it would hurt. I don't like getting hurt. Keiichi-san, just stand there and nod along, okay? Rika and I will smooth it over. I swear, I can't believe I have to look over you after you even during a punishment game. Seriously? I already knew her pouty behavior was a sign she was actually in a really good mood. That made me want to smile. Hey, I do want to eat some vegetable stir-fries. Satoko, can you make that? What? Well, there's nothing I can't do if I put my mind to it. She can make it very well. I really like Satoko's stir-fry. She was uneasy at first, but once she got assurance from Rika, she turned back and looked at me with once more confident eyes. Settled then. Let's go shopping for stuff after school today. I don't really have any idea what to buy after all. That's true, isn't it? It's It's still too early for you to go shopping at the supermarket, Keiichi-san. That's right. That's a difficult task. It's only reserved for grade 5 cooks. 5th grade cooks. They have to have reached the 5th tier of cooking. Your first tier is being given the ingredients and just boiling. Your first tier is like boiling water and not burning your pot. The second one is boiling water with ingredients in it. And the supermarket's, I don't know what's next, but the supermarket's 5th tier. You make me anxious if I wasn't watching. Yeah, who knows? He might get lost in the supermarket. Or find himself slain at the hands of the butcher. Who knows? Satoko makes me anxious. She'll buy the wrong thing if I'm not watching. So Satoko hasn't quite made it to tier 5 yet. He's maybe a tier 4 or 3. Where'd he go? Because she can clearly do other dishes if there's instructions on them and they're very simple, like they're from a can or something. That's definitely a 3. The conversation continued as we walked until we arrived before the door to the teacher's lounge. Okay, let's get this punishment game over with and discuss the menu for tonight. Rika gleefully grabbed onto my arm. In turn, I pulled Satoko to me, grabbing her shoulder with my other hand. We'll all be together in death. I won't let anyone die alone. We're all together. I won't let anyone die alone. What an indiscreet thing to say. I want no part in something so disturbing. She might have sounded annoyed, but she was so happy it was going to make me blush. Alright. Beyond this door is the world after death. However, we shall return. All of us shall. Yes, everyone will. Let's sally forth. Let's sally forth. Ooh, we haven't seen the teacher's lounge before. As expected, there is curry. There is a nice bowl of curry right in front of us. Remember, there's only one teacher at the school. We opened the doorway to the world of death. And like she did every day, just as the sun rose in the eastern sky, Chie-sensei was eating curry for lunch. It was store-bought, but she made a point of eating a different brand every day. Ooh, Chie's got a visual now. Does she have one for all 3? Oh my god, she does. This is the first time Chie has had a sprite. She might actually be a relevant character in the story. You didn't have a sprite in the first 2 arcs. Oh my, Makbara, Furude, and Hojo. Is something the matter? She appeared to be in the middle of a moment of supreme bliss, her mouth full of her beloved curry. And we were about to pick a fight with her. What a crime this game would be. However, it was what we had to do. For that was the rule of our club. The 3 of us held each other's shoulders tightly once more. Alright, let's do this. Ready? What do you mean ready? Keiichi, you're gonna stay quiet. Rika and I'll handle everything. Entrust your life to me now. Go for it. Yay! What are you all doing? We could see 2 or 3 question marks popping up above the teacher's head. Alright, Satoko. This is the only time I'll trust you with my life, because I'll be shutting my eyes tightly and only thinking about what we'll be having for dinner. I'm leaving it to you. Satoko inhaled deeply. And so? Hey, you over there. You stuck up curry snob. You're single because you smell like garlic. Instant jump scare and chapter end? Or is that scene end? Oh my god. They're dead. They're dead. That was in fact the shortest arc. In the end, ooh, another visual of the town. There's some nice gardens outside with like flowers. And I don't know what these shoots are. They might be supports for like tomatoes or something when the tomatoes come up. In the end, my selfish request was readily granted. As Satoko muttered complaints under her breath, quite merrily, she came with me to the store. Rika didn't come with us. She said she had a thing she wanted to do or something. I believed her when she told me, but when I thought about it, I started to think maybe she was being considerate towards Satoko in her own way.
Without Rika, Satoko was prouder and more loquacious than ever. You understand. Supermarkets will put things on sale when it gets near closing time. Oh, do they? That's interesting. Usually they do weekly sales. Or put things on sale. I don't think they... oh, they might do that for freshly baked goods, actually. They might do that for freshly baked goods or every other day. For example, you can't have a stir fry without pork. If we wait a little longer, it'll be marked half off. They can't sell meat or fish once it's not fresh anymore. They make it all cheaper in a last-ditch effort not to have anything left over. Of course, every veteran housewife is familiar with this concept, and when we get close to happy hour like we are now... I wasn't really listening to her, but she was telling me all this quite proudly. Every time I seemed surprised at something or made an affirmative grunt in place of conversation, Satoko would say, "You don't know anything, do you, Keiichi-san?" And smile very happily in spite of her complaints. Lots of food, lots of ramen. That's all I'm seeing is ramen, right? I'm seeing lots of ramen, lots of ramen. She led me by the hand to all sorts of stalls, one after the other. She was in such a supreme mood that just being with her cheered me up. Merely being pulled into Satoko's pace was a lot of fun. Why don't we just go with this economy size pack? Oh, there's a real good looking one with cheese in it over there. Keiichi-san, you have no financial sense. Look at this. It's over our budget. We don't have enough money. Satoko pushed a handful of receipts in my face. Why can't Satoko do these kind of mental calculations when she's at school? Try. Should we buy a load of the normal ones or buy fewer of the better stuff with cheese in it? It's quite troubling. Calm down. For boys your age, it's wiser to choose quantity over quality. Toko, you're being too strict. A man's heart desires both quality and quantity. Why can't you understand that? Wait, is the package on the top left called Furi Gohan? I assume it's like a package of instant rice or ramen. I assume it's it's an instant meal of some description. Interesting. As I recall, this is the visual they should have used for the ramen aisle, right? When he's buying his box of ramen. His box of like 20 packages of ramen. No man, no matter the size of a man's heart, his wallet won't get bigger. I swear. Stop clinging to the glass so stubbornly. After enjoying ourselves in such an exchange, we started to hear energetic voices coming from over by the butcher we visited earlier. And now Rika Smug is in a moat. Perfect. I could see a handful of housewives flooding the place. Oh no! If we don't hurry, all the half-off pork will be gone! Ow, 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 don't pull me! Don't pull on my neck! Satoko really seemed like she was having fun. She looked like a kid who grabbed her family's hands while running towards an amusement park attraction. And in the end, the bag of pork we obtained was so normal it almost hurt, but I knew it would taste absolutely delicious. Outside at some point, the cicadas had been replaced by the Higurashi's chorus. The air was so clear and it felt so good. Our silhouettes stretching out on the ground made for a really wonderful picture. We'd filled our bicycle baskets to the brim with our shopping bags. They only contained ingredients and other various foodstuffs, and even so, every last thing packed in them looked really happy and made me feel really happy in turn. Going shopping for dinner seems pretty sensible too. Makes you really enjoy your meals. I can't wait to eat. That's a part of cooking for yourself as well. You should also probably buy tomorrow's dinner too. Dinner starts while you're shopping for it. So excited for this. Vegetable stir fry isn't even in my mom's cookbook. I never get to eat it unless we go to a Chinese place. I'm really looking forward to it today. That is indeed a pity. Today, I'll present you an especially tasty dish. Normally right about now was the time I'd start messing with her. But I didn't. Yeah, I bet you'll end up making something really great. I'm really looking forward to it. She stammered for a second. Satoko had prepared for me to start making fun of her, too, and when it didn't come, she was surprised. Or maybe she stammered for some other reason. I don't know. But I immediately knew she wasn't feeling anything bad. Yes, I'll deliver an extraordinarily delectable dish. You'd better look forward to it. As Satoko and I rode back on our bikes, I had a thought. Was I this sort of person? Until now, I would have lashed back at her right away if she did something to me. You're a big softy, aren't you? Yeah, that was the kind of relationship we had. We'd poke at each other, kick up a storm while nitpicking one another. And at some point, that had changed. We weren't playing our usual tit for tat. I didn't provoke her, so we didn't fight. I went for Satoko too. Satoko, who I thought I knew hadn't been like this until now. Our relationship was changing little by little. That's what it felt like, but it wasn't something I had to worry about. Remember, Reina did promise that Satoko wasn't actually 100% a gremlin, so it was kind of nice. It was like our relationship became something a little bit happier, a little bit more charming. I wonder why we changed like this. Was she lonely and projecting her older brother Satoshi, who hadn't returned home onto me? Rika told me about that yesterday. That was probably exactly it. So as my actions grew closer to Satoshi's, Satoko was returning to how she'd been when she was living happily with her brother. In other words, this Satoko was the real Satoko. Satoko had been able to see her brother again and had finally gone back to normal. Now that I'd been playing the role of her brother, I discovered that she really could smile so sweetly. But I wasn't Satoshi Hojo. I was Keiichi Maibara, a totally different person. I couldn't become her brother. I could become close. But I could never really get there. That was vaguely somehow a little sad. I was wearing Satoshi's mantle, and that would have to come off one day, and would doubtlessly put an end to this meager, nostalgic, peaceful time of Satoko's. A limited tranquility. A tranquility that would end one day. Putting it in those terms, it was really sad, but hey, like, you're making her feel better, so I guess you're doing an okay job. Besides, she doesn't exactly have any family, so filling the role of her family probably won't have to end anytime soon, right? Like, it's not like she has parents or something. Like, you probably wants like a family or a family substitution. I shook my head firmly and drove off those pointless thoughts. What's the matter, Kitchen? Sorry, it's nothing. If it's nothing, please don't act all strange like that. It makes me worried you might have eaten something rotten. Right. Sorry, Satoko. Nagging like always, but she seemed really happy. That mood of hers drew me in, putting a smile on my own face. Hey, Keiichi. Why don't we quit thinking about having to end this one day? If it will, think about it when that happens. There was one thing, however, I could say for sure. As long as I smiled like this, Satoko's own smile would never wane. As long as I stay this way, the tranquility will never end. Satoshi would come back one day too. That might happen a lot further away than I like, but until then, what's wrong with being a replacement for him? Saying I'm not a real brother so I can't become Satoshi was just an excuse. If I just didn't run away, then maybe, just maybe, Satoko could stay happy and live a fun life of annoyed nitpicking. I didn't know what happened to Satoshi, or what made him abandon Satoko and run away. But just seeing Satoko in such a good mood made me think I could persevere as long as I needed to. So that's what I thought. I won't become Satoshi. I'll be your replacement brother. And this is it. This is the kind of stir fry I was waiting for. It's great. It's absolutely great. The salt and pepper in the broth, man. I could eat an entire pot of this. Stop, Keiichi-san. You're spilling food everywhere. The food isn't going to run away. You don't need to eat it so fast. No, it will run away. The best and freshest flavors are running away from the moment the meal is completed. If you made 100 delicious things, I'd have a duty to taste every one of them. It's just good manners to do so. Your feelings are more than enough. Calm down and enjoy your food. You're right. Sorry. No insults. I merely scratched my head, then put down my chopsticks and laughed along with her like it was funny. I ended up doing most of the eating. Satoko was barely taking a bite. She seemed satisfied by watching me enjoy the food so much. Whenever I filled my mouth with more of her delicious meal, Satoko looked glad. That let me enjoy the food even more. In this way, she kept smiling happily the whole time. Looking at her made me feel really happy as well. The time passed softly and gently. Before I would have gone back and forth, hurling insults with Satoko. In other words, we would have gotten into a fight right away. I'd never known I could feel such peace of mind talking to her honestly like this, and I never knew she wasn't a gremlin. I was a little bit happy about having discovered this side of Satoko. For example, I was eating food she made. There wasn't an inch of me that thought it was suspicious. Before, however, Satoko would definitely have put some sort of a trap into this. I think I ate too much. I'm gonna take a dump. What? What? Kate, she thought. It's bad manners to say such words during a meal. What should I say? I'm going to the bathroom? Yes. The toilet? The lavatory? Satoko looked down, her face bright red, pointed at the hallway as if to say, just go already. Whoops, old habits seem to have come back, but yeah. This wasn't all that bad either. No weird schemes, everything's just natural. And while having utterly unguarded thoughts, I went into the bathroom. Tug. My foot caught on something string-like. What? Oh! A kettle? A wash tub? Satoko! She got me. I can't believe her. She always does this when I let my guard down. I can't relax for a minute around her. Still, it was kind of funny and I didn't feel like getting angry. Satoko, laughing uproariously, came over. See, I knew you'd fall for it sooner or later. Why, you little... I let my guard down for 1 second, and this is what I get. I picked up the wash tubs that crashed into my head and went to go hit Satoko with it. Then I doubled over with the laughter that had been welling up within me, so I couldn't manage it. I wish things would go on forever like this. It's not like I was having the most fun since coming to Hinamizawa or anything, but it was probably the first time I spent my days so simply and comfortably. It really wasn't worth much, it was only a few hours after all. As an only child, it was my first taste of having a sibling. Just washing dishes with her felt really nice. Side by side we washed, with the experienced Satoko doing most of the work as I threw in appropriate words to add to the conversation. The scene was so commonplace and yet so mild and warm. So, we're having our nice, relaxing start before the storm. Our calm before the storm. It's coming. Maybe I'd felt this kind of warmth before too, in the past. I think I've stood next to the sink with my mother like this when I was little. It made me feel nostalgic when I remembered it. It was the same sort of slow, easy time. It was tranquil. Such a quiet tranquility. I wasn't uneasy about anything in itself. Almost made me uneasy. I mean, the game seems to be about 12 chapters long. We're only in chapter 2, so we have a while before anything horrible happens, right? Wait, Keiichi Maibara. You feel uneasy about something from spending time so leisurely? There's nothing at all to feel uneasy about. I mean, why would I be punished for enjoying a gentle life? I'll do anything to keep these days going, and I'd never do anything bad, no matter what. I'll work hard for it, and endure much for it. God, it's not much of a dream to want this to keep going, but can't you grant it? Oh? Is that not the telephone? Who could it be at this hour? Huh? Oh, you're right. I hadn't noticed until she mentioned it. I hurried to stand up and ran to the phone. Who could it be at a time like this? I did feel a little like the phone had interrupted my happy moment, but I still wanted to brag about how happy the time it was making spend me, so... I was spending made me, so no matter who was on the other side... hello? This is Maibara. Hello? Keiichi? It's your mother. Oh, hi Mom. What is it? It's pretty late. That was a little cold to me when she was only calling because she was worried about her son. I couldn't help but give a dry smile. Sounds like you're doing just fine for yourself. I was worried you couldn't make dinner and went to bed hungry. Nah, it worked out. Did she make dinner properly? What did you have tonight? Vegetable stir fry, rice, miso soup, bought stuff for it at the supermarket, plus a whole bunch of side dishes just for fun. Hey, listen to this. I got the fork during the sale. I got it half off. The things a housewife knows, right? Right? And also. And all of that was thanks to Satoko, and not something I should be proud about. But still, I couldn't help but want to boast about the dinner tonight. It seemed Mom got the hint I was in a really good mood. I see. I'm so relieved you're doing just fine. Oh, and another thing. Your dad and I finished up with our job. We think we'll be back tomorrow afternoon or evening. Oh. I see. You did well for 2 nights. We were pulling all-nighters too. It was a lot of work, but we managed to fill the gap in your dad's mentors events. Cool. That's good. Well done. Why did my parents coming home seem so disappointing? I knew a little bit of the reason, of course. The tranquility I never wanted to end was about to end so readily, and it was a little painful. Oh, you got 2 days, man. That's like a weekend. After being asked what kind of souvenir I wanted from Tokyo and replying that anything edible would be great, I put down the receiver and Satoko appeared, having finished cleaning up her trap. At first, she was in a good mood, but when she saw me put down the receiver with an uncertain expression, her own clouded over a bit. It seemed she'd gotten the gist of what my phone conversation had been about. Is that your parents, Keiichi-san? Yeah, Mom says she'll be back tomorrow. Oh, that's good then. I won't have to go through the trouble of making you dinner tomorrow. Now you can enjoy your meals with just your family. Nah, when I think about the dull, plain dinner table coming back tomorrow, it's a little lonely. You sure do live in luxury. A family sitting around the dinner table is the most fun way to enjoy a meal of all. Her brother, Satoshi, running from home, came to mind immediately. But there's no gloom in the way she said it. It was only for 2 days, but they were very enjoyable dinners. Well then, next time I'll go to your house to visit. Satoko momentarily made a happy smile, but a second later changed to an expression of surprise. My house is small and dirty. Why not come over and have my mom make you food? How about that one? The kitchen isn't as good as this one. Well, I don't mind. But, well, if you don't want to, I won't. Satoko shook her head firmly, her whole body expressing denial. I gotta get you to teach me a bunch more stuff, too. I finally managed to figure out how to use the rice cooker and how to cook miso soup after all. That's right, isn't it? Perhaps we should use this opportunity to have you learn more about cooking. It was so like Satoko to take this chance to proclaim it was all for my sake. But there's no way to conceal her own enthusiasm. It's true, this gentle time would come to an end when my parents got back. There's no need to lament that. I can easily put in the effort to continue our moments like this. Like yesterday, she told me she didn't need to be escorted home, but Rika wasn't with her tonight. She'd be going home by herself, and everyone knew everyone else's face in Hinamizawa, so it wasn't like it was dangerous to go at night, but it wasn't good to send a girl on her way all alone. At the very least, that's what I thought is Satoko's older brother. I'll take you as far as the school, at least. There's more lights in that direction anyway. It's really fun, alright? If someone bad shows up, I'll take him down with one finger. Not even one punch? Not one punch, one finger. There's no point in pressing any further on the subject. I took a handful of her hair and rubbed her head vigorously. Come on, Satoko, don't complain so much. Your Nini will bring you part of the way there, is what I was about to say when I got embarrassed and my voice trailed off. Nini would only be the nickname Satoko gave her older brother and nothing else. I was about to use it lightly, so I started to feel apologetic and a little ashamed. Nini, what? What did Satoko say? Ah, well. Keiichi said just seems like an older brother, is what I said. It's not quite right, but you seem kind of alike, so I just... Satoko laughed awkwardly and turned red in the face. Of course, I was embarrassed. I was like, ooh, we're like so close. We're both thinking we're in the same role. And he's like, I don't know if I should take that role. It's like when you have like a... It's like for Keiichi, it's like Keiichi's in the role of like stepfather or stepbrother. It's more like he's like finding himself in like a stepfather role where he's like, I don't know how far I should go. How fatherly is appropriate for a stepfather, or in this case he's like sort of being like a substitute brother. That's interesting. Kind of an awkward situation where you don't know how far you should go, but hey. Because the fact I was trying to act like her brother had gone across, a warm feeling spread out from my chest. It was completely different from romantic feelings or any of those more impatient emotions. It was more graceful, quiet, warm, calm. Satoko still needed her Nini. I initially thought Rika was being shy by not coming today, but when I thought about it like this, I could feel a kind thoughtfulness of her worrying about a good friend's feelings. Maybe Rika understood she couldn't play the part of a brother herself. So then... Let's stop here, Mayura. There's no point thinking about it so hard. It means everyone feels the same way. Everyone wants Satoko to be happy. And she's acting as though her brother running away from home didn't bother her at all, even though it wasn't actually the case. She was very sad and always waiting for him to come home. Because Satoko was a stable person when she was his sister. In order for her to really be this level-headed, having a brother was something she couldn't do without. In other words, she still needed a brother. Nobody had the right to smile it away as childish immaturity. In fact, they deserved praise for being so close to each other as siblings. That role of brother should be played by her real Nini, by Satoshi, but unfortunately he's not here. So since I'm here, I'll play the part. And not with a guilty conscience, but in a very natural way. Because... was there really something wrong with seeing Satoko smile so happily? No, making Satoko's kind of happy is kind of fun. What is it, Keiichi-san? You've been smirking for a while now. Is it weird for me to look happy? It isn't weird or anything, but well, the sound of the motor on her bike light was too loud, and I couldn't hear what Satoko said. Oh, there's the wall. I thought the graphic had been replaced. Interesting. What? What did you say? Nothing. You really are just like Nini, you know? Keiichi-san? Is that right? Of course, you're completely different from my real Nini. But like, there's things. Like, things you do the same. It's really a mystery. Do you feel lonely when you remember it? Once I said that, I thought for a moment that was absolutely the wrong thing to say, but she didn't seem to mind a bit. It's not that I'm lonely, since Keiichi-san being my Nini is being my Nini for me right now. Well, as I was flustered for a moment at hitting her mark, Satoko suddenly asked me a question in a calm voice. It was quiet, composed, and an adult question. Was it Rika? It was quiet, but her voice sounded lonely somehow. Didn't Rika ask you to act like my Nini for me? Is that what you think? Don't take offense. Rika is strangely considerate of me, but it really doesn't bother me that much. I could say for sure that at least was a lie. Yesterday and today, Satoko had been so happy spending time with me as siblings. That was proof itself she was lying about it not getting to her. So I gave Satoko a light poke on the head. You're thinking too much, dummy. I'm me, Keiichi Maibara. I'm not your Nini. I'm not Satoshi Hojo. I know that. Spider saying that. Her expression seemed a little lonesome. At this point, she realized her question had been the wrong thing to say. We didn't need to keep talking about something Satoko regretted, though. So to cut the conversation short, I grabbed her head and petted her. Pet her head. Let's not talk about silly things like that. It's getting late. Get back home, brush your teeth, go to bed. And rinse your mouth before sleeping, too. It'll keep you from getting a cold. Will it now? You're what to talk, Nini. Be sure to brush your teeth, okay? Rinse your mouth and wash your hands. Get your books ready, Dora, and... I wondered what sort of siblings Satoko and Satoshi were. I'd never seen them together, but I could say without a doubt they were really close. As for the way in which they were close, it was probably quite like this. It was so cool that the day's heat seemed like a lie, and yet the moonlight was somehow faintly warm. It's still summer, right? Yeah. I think it's summer for them, right? The quiet chorus of the insects was pleasing to the ears. Or it's right before the actual... It's before the actual summer vacation. That's like April or May or some shit, right? This should be chapter end. Satoko's Trap Course Intermediate, oh boy. Hard mode on Satoko's Trap Course? Okay, okay. I should really wrap things up, but I think I'm gonna be consistent and do all the tips, so I don't have to do them next time. Really wrap things up, but can't stop. I've been really enjoying these first two chapters. Like, I like that all of the routes so far, we're on our third route, right? Well, effectively our third route, third chapter. I like that all the routes have had completely different content for the peaceful era, for the peaceful periods. Like, Obviously, they're just, you know, people attending school, having a nice life, and then bad things happen. But, like, there haven't been repeat scenes. Basically not a single scene has been repeated, other than, like, I swear, you could take the first 2 chapters, first 2 to, like, 4 chapters of every single one of these sections so far, every single one of these arcs so far, and you could cut them out and stitch them together to make, like, half the game just a relaxing slice of life. And it wouldn't have any repeats. It would actually just be a nice, relaxing slice of life. It's really cool. I could see Tomita and Okamura-kun walking over to the gym storehouse. They needed to get the bag of lime used to make the lines on the court for our next gym class. They were on duty today after all, but in that storehouse, a terrible trap awaited them. Being on this side of the trap for once is really thrilling. Oh. If you realize that this is the true pleasure in setting up traps, you have potential yourself, Keiichi-san. The two of them fumbled with the gym storehouse's lock. Oh, what's this? Okamura pointed at part of the door and started whispering to Tomita-kun. Realizing something, they both jumped away from the door. Oh, Satoko, I think they found out. Did we mess up? I calculated they'd noticed the trap at the entrance. And of course, I calculated what action they'll take now. Oh boy. According to Satoko, after they noticed the suspicious trap on the door, they would go around and try to get in through the back window. I like how Satoko has gotten, like, literally everyone in class trained to watch out for, like, the most horrifying traps. Like, they see something suspicious and they're like, yeah, I'm just gonna casually, like, try to break into the storehouse instead of trying to open it like a normal person. And just as prophesized, they went around the back. And just as she prophesized, they climbed up, opened the window, and tried to sneak in. Amazing. Everything's exactly like you said. It got them! An explosion of pure white lime dust burst out the window. After a few minutes, the two of them managed to crawl away from the window, both completely white. This is the moment I live for. It tastes like honey. But still, that was quite the trap. You'd have had to know everything to set something up like that. Where they'd put their hands, their legs, where they jump down. Listen carefully, Keiichi-san. The first step to making a trap is to watch and observe the victim. You must scrupulously predict their movement patterns, how they'll move at any given moment. And if you do that, you can achieve the greatest possible results with only the most minimal trap. Come to think of it, before Satoko read the final move at that final moment, earlier, Mion had given her high praise, saying she had the makings of a genius. So it's all about reading your opponent? The traps you caught me in before worked because you figured out everything I'd do? Yes, I can see right through all your actions. That's how I set them up. If one day you suddenly start having different habits, I wouldn't be able to anymore. Bragging she could anticipate everything I do. That was kind of mean. Alright then. Let's play a game now. I want to test whether your predictions are accurate. Fine with me. Keiichi-san, you're particularly easy to get a read on. I could do it before breakfast. When we went to the back to the classroom, Satoko tore off pieces of paper and wrote something on the back of them, making 3 cards. Of course, I didn't know what she'd written. Please pick a card, Keiichi. If you don't pick one that says, you're a loser, you'll win. Great, you're on. The club built up my sensitivity to this stuff. I'll smash right through your predictions. Satoko smirks and holds out 3 cards. Set your mind to full power by calming it, Keiichi. Cool and collected is how you'll win. If I don't pick the losing one, I win. Which means if I do pick it, Satoko wins. In other words, Satoko wants to make me pick the losing one. What would she do to make sure I pick the losing one? Would she even predict something like that? Statistically speaking, isn't there some rule that says I'm more likely to pick the one in the middle? Or the ones on the either side? That is not how it works. That is not how Monte Carlo works. Then it hits me like a flash. This is what Mion would do. Now, which will you pick? I've made my decision, and it's this one! What are you doing? I steal all 3 cards from Satoko's hands. I predicted what Satoko would do in advance. Satoko wanted to make sure I picked the losing one, which meant all 3 were losing ones. And that's how I knew. Allow me to look at all 3! I flip up all 3 cards, And on each one, there's a single word. You're a loser. Oof. What's this? You're a loser? What? It means just what it says. If you had only chosen one, you wouldn't have lost. What? What? You predicted I'd draw all three? No! I held my hand in my hands, or my head in my hands, and fainted as Satoko reveled at the might of her abilities. Her shrill laughter echoed through the classroom. That was actually a really good call. And then there was a poof as lime powder came down on Satoko's head. I looked to see Tomita and Okamura all in white, dumping a whole bag of lime powder on her, getting their revenge. Hojo, you're the only one who could have set up a trick like that. Well, excuse me. Do you happen to have any proof? I'd like it if you didn't call me something so elegant. A trick? I prefer if you call it something more refined. A trap, please. Payback. Can't you help me? Our underclassmen crashed around the room in furious combat, getting white lime everywhere. Satoko? Why couldn't you see this coming exactly? At the time, I hadn't seen something coming too, though the teacher coming to me afterwards and giving us all a stern talking to. Yep, saw that one coming. Alright. That was good. That was good. A nice, fun, light, and fluffy ending. The start of Chapter 3 of Higurashi.